The wind off Blackwater Bay smelled of salt and soot and the faint, acrid sting of old wildfire, a scent Jon Snow would forever associate with victories that felt like defeats. He stood atop the half-rebuilt ramparts of the Red Keep, cloak snapping behind him like a tattered banner, and watched dawn pink the eastern sky. Below, the city sprawled like a wounded beast that refused to die. Towers sheared, domes scorched, streets crammed with makeshift tents where small folk huddled beside cookfires to greet another uncertain day. Somewhere, a crippled bell clanged a cracked note, and the sound carried up the hill to where the new king considered the weight of a crown he had never sought. Ghost padded beside him, silent, pale as morning mist, eyes the color of fresh blood. The direwolf's presence steadied Jon more than any knight's sword or maester's counsel. Ghost had guarded him at Castle Black, through frozen marches north of the Wall, across the poisoned streets of Meereen, and upon the smoking ruins of King's Landing. Now the beast would guard a realm. The thought still felt strange upon Jon's tongue. A sigil older than dragons or lions or falcons, white as snowfall, red-eyed, relentless. Footsteps scratched stone behind him. Ser Davos Seaworth approached, one hand on the parapet, the other tucked beneath his cloak where missing fingers ached whenever a storm came in from the narrow sea. "Your Grace," Davos said, voice low so the honorific would not carry to every listening ear. "You should break your fast. Today will be heavy." Every day is heavy, Jon thought, yet he only nodded. "We march to the great September ruins in an hour." "Aye, the lords are gathering, some from as far as Old Town. They'll want pageantry." Davos sniffed the wind, grimacing. "Seven save us. The city still reeks of ash." Jon looked again over the ruins. "The ash is part of the truth. We won't hide it under silk and gold thread. The artisans fret they'll not finish your banners before the ceremony." "Then hang nothing," Jon said. He glanced at Ghost. "He is banner enough." The throne room was colder than Jon expected. A cavern of shadows where sunbeams pierced broken clear-story windows to stripe the floor with light. The iron throne, dented, half-melted, its upper blades fused into warped shapes during Daenerys' fall, loomed like a silent accusation. Jon had stood before it once already, when the realm's nobles pressed an iron circlet into his hands. He remembered their faces. Sansa's solemn pride, Bran's distant calm, Arya's half-smile that vanished the moment their eyes met. Tyrion had knelt longest, head bowed, so that curls of golden-brown hair spilled over his brow. "Break the wheel," the dwarf had whispered, eyes glimmering with hope and guilt. Jon wondered whether the wheel broke or merely cracked. Maester Samwell waited near the northern doors, fussing with a roll of parchment heavy with fresh seals. His cheeks were ruddy from the ride south, his eyes alight with purpose, as though he were again the boy they once derided as craven, yet who faced whites and white walkers and lived. Sam raised a hand in greeting. Ghost loped to him, nose nudging Sam's palm. Jon felt an ache of nostalgia so fierce he nearly smiled. "You've fashioned a proper charter?" Jon asked. Sam gave an eager nod. "Proclamations, Your Grace. One for every lord and lady. And the new laws you dictated." "Suggested," Jon corrected. "Suggested," Sam allowed. "Regarding grain levies, relief for the crownlands, and rebuilding of the septs. I set them in plain tongue, easy copied. And," he swallowed, "the decree to make Ghost the official sigil of the realm. Some will scoff, but I wrote it so none can cry insult. A dire wolf is of the north, yet stands for vigilance and unity. It suits." Jon took the scroll, weighing it. Paper never seemed so heavy. "The lords may hate it," he said. "Let them hate it. They can draft their own charters if they wish." Davos's voice rumbled from across the hall as he entered behind them. "Some will. Most are too busy counting coppers and casualty ledgers to care overmuch about paper wolves." "Dire wolves," Sam muttered, but smiled despite himself. They made the procession on foot, refusing litters or gilded palanquins. Jon walked at the head, flanked by Davos and Ser Brienne of Tarth, her armor freshly polished, oath renewed though no king had asked it. Behind came Tyrion, Gendry Baratheon in a breastplate dwarfed by stag sigils, Lady Asha Greyjoy dressed in seawolf black, and a motley host of regional banners tattered by war and winter. Dothraki outriders trailed the column, their araks bound in linen as a sign of submission. The small folk lined the streets in wary silence, faces hollow-cheeked, eyes dipped. They did not cheer. Their gaze passed over Jon to Ghost trotting ahead, and something like wonder flickered across soot-smudged faces. When the column reached the shattered plaza where the Great September once stood, the sun burned high. White stone fragments lay in jagged heaps, scorch marks radiating like spider cracks. At the plaza's center rose a simple wooden dais draped in wolf-white cloth. A single iron brazier smoldered, the flame kept low so smoke would not thicken the air. Jon ascended the platform alone. Ghost sat at its foot head high. A hush spread outward, swallowing whispers. Jon felt thousands of eyes pressing. Words caught in his throat. He had rehearsed none. So he spoke as a ranger might speak at a campfire, voice firm but unadorned. "I stand here," he began, "because war has broken every promise we hoped to keep. Dragons laid waste to king and commoner alike. Ice marched against fire in the far north. We battled, we bled, we survived. Now we breathe the same air, share the same wound. We are not 7 kingdoms but one realm of scarred survivors." A murmur rippled and stilled. "I accept the crown not for glory, nor vengeance, nor the songs bards will mangle long after we die. I accept because someone must, and I could not bear to see another tyrant seize it. I am Jon of House Stark, born of Winterfell's honor and Dragonstone's fire. Yet I pledge to rule as a man of the Night's Watch once vowed. I will take no wife, father no child, wear no crowns but duty." Gasps fluttered. Tyrion bowed his head. Sansa's mouth parted, startled. Jon lifted the iron circlet from its rough-hewn pedestal. "Let this crown be lighter than the chains we cast off. Let Ghost, son of the North, remind us that loyalty and courage guard the realm better than fear. From this day, the direwolf's red eyes watch for all, noble or lowborn, knight or child." He set the circlet upon his brow, felt cold as dawn. The crowd remained mute. Then a child's thin voice cried, "Long live the Wolf King!" Another answered. Soon the plaza thrummed with a chant raw and uncertain, but real. "Wolf King, Wolf King." Jon's chest tightened. He could not breathe scents of smoke and salt without tasting tears. Ghost threw back his head and howled. The sound sliced the air like steel on slate, reverberating off ruined walls, rolling down alleys to the distant sea. For a heartbeat city and king and direwolf were bound by shared sound, a promise that nothing worth saving would be left unheard again. That night, the Red Keep's solar hosted lords' petitions. Candlelight flickered over maps spattered with ink from frantic revisions. The Crownlands required seed grain. The Reach offered barter for ironwood. The Vale's roads lay choked by rockslides since Dragonfire melted mountain passes. Jon listened, asked questions, appointed committees. He gave no orders without counsel. When quarrels grew heated, Ghost's low growl restored calm quicker than any guard. Lord Grafton demanded harbor taxes. Lady Tarth countered with debts owed to rebuild Storm's End. Ser Bronzeyon Royce claimed wildings raided eastern valleys. Tormund Giantsbane, lounging by the hearth with mead in hand, laughed and challenged any doubter to face a free folk mother whose children hungered. Jon mediated, forging compromises hammered like castle-forged steel, slow and hot, until they cooled into grudging accords. Hours slipped past. Tyrion, quill scratching, leaned to Jon. "You resolve disputes as though mending broken bones. Make the cut clean, bind tight, suffer groans now to avoid a limp later." "I learned from Maester Aemon," Jon said, "and from Mance and from my father." He paused. "I miss them all tonight. We rule with ghosts at our shoulders," Tyrion murmured. His eyes flicked to the direwolf drowsing beneath the table. Some more literal than others. Weeks blurred. Heralds spread news of the Wolf King's edicts. Tithes lightened on war-torn villages. Thrones abandoned by dead lords reassigned to proven stewards. Ravens flew north, announcing the Wall's watch restored under Queen in the North Sansa Stark's patronage. Arya sailed west on a sleek caravel christened Nymeria's Vow. Her farewell a fierce hug and whispered promise to return when the seas called no more. Dragon's Bane Hill, where Drogon's shadow had once darkened the city, became a place of pilgrimage. Jon ordered a memorial, a ring of blackened stone left as it lay, to remind all of fire's cost. He forbade songs that celebrated war heroes too soon. Wounds needed silence before melody. Each dusk, he donned boiled leather jerkin and patrolled flea-bottom disguised. Ghost padded beside him, invisible in gloom save for glowing eyes none dared confront. Jon listened to gutter-snipe gossip, watched butchers haggle, saw orphans scavenge copper nails to trade for crusts. He carried no retinue. If folk recognized him, they bowed shyly and asked only for the next day's bread. He vowed to give it, yet not all accepted the direwolf's reign. Golden Company mercenaries, scattered after their disastrous landing, regrouped in the Stormlands under a rogue captain named Ser Bors Hill. He proclaimed himself Blood Raven Reborn and gathered malcontents promising vengeance for Dragon Princess and Lion Queen alike. Word reached the Red Keep of raids on grain carts bound north. Jon dispatched Ser Brienne with 100 Crownsguard to root them out. Ravens brought grimmer tidings from Iron Wrath. House Whitehill's remnants rallied iron-born pirates, harrying gullible villages along the Bight. Lord Glover pleaded for ships. Lady Asha Greyjoy volunteered her fleet, eager to curb unruly cousins. Meanwhile, within King's Landing, whispers coiled around Grand Maester Ambrose, a Citadel envoy replacing Pycelle's line, inventing rumors that the Wolf King lacked heirs and thus legitimacy. Let the crown pass to the true dragon, some said, meaning nobody alive but a child rumored hidden in Volantis. Jon ignored gossip until a parchment arrived sealed with a green dragon sigil. The word bastard scrawled above a sketch of Ghost pierced by arrows. Tyrion found Jon staring at the drawing. "We should answer," Tyrion suggested. "With ink for now, steel if forced." "Steal enough blood," Jon said. But his eyes were winter ice. Spring unfurled slowly. Blue crocus pushed through rubble in the gods' wood behind the keep, petals fluttering like butterfly wings. Jon walked barefoot on new grass, Ghost pacing circles to sniff shoots with curious nose. Bran waited beneath the heart tree, wheelchair wheels sunk in earth. Ravens flitted overhead. "You rarely leave the solar," Bran observed. "I leave every night. Not your spirit." The boy who was no boy fixed him with unfathomable gaze. "You fear to sit fully upon the throne. It is forged from swords. No one sits easily." Bran's lips curved, almost sad. "Ghost is a sigil, but he is also a tether. He keeps you in the living world. Remember that." Jon knelt to the tree's roots, pressing palm against rough bark. "I wanted peace," he whispered. "Yet peace demands endless tending. I feel myself fading." Bran's fingers brushed a low branch, setting white leaves whispering. "Then let the realm know you as more than a steward of ashes. Hold a tourney." "A tourney?" Jon blinked. "Jousting and feasting while streets still smell of death?" "Precisely why," Bran said. "Hope must breathe, else memory of fear crowds out everything." He closed his eyes, voice gone distant. "I see a field of banners, wolf and trout and kraken and rose. I see Ghost watching night circle, red eyes reflecting sunlight. The people cheer not for blood, but for color against gray horizon." Jon rose. "I will consider." Bran's eyes opened, gray depths containing centuries. "Consider swift. You have fewer choices than you think." The King's tourney at Dragon Pit drew crowds beyond counting. Rubble cleared, stands erected. The vast shell of the ancient arena rang again with human clamor instead of dragon screams. Knights clashed lances under freshly sewn banners. Tartha Sapphire crossed with Stark's direwolf, Baratheon stag alongside Reed's crowned toad, Aaron Falcon stooping upon Lannister lion newly purged of crimson in favor of gold alone. Jon watched from a modest dais. He wore no cloak of ermine, only a black leather doublet stitched with small pearls to mimic Ghost's eyes. The direwolf lay at his feet, tail thumping whenever cheers swelled. Children waved scraps of cloth painted white with red dots. Markets sold sweet cakes shaped like wolves. For a day, laughter drowned sorrow. Ser Podrick Payne unhorsed Ser Horp to win the tilt. The small folk roared for the night of the song, remembering Podrick's shy baritone at winter fires. Podrick asked leave to name the Queen of Love and Beauty. He chose a baker's widowed daughter who blushed scarlet amid thunderous applause. John glimpsed Sansa's smile soften, unguarded. At dusk, a melee commenced, free knights, squires, and a few brazen small folk brandishing cudgels, tumbling about the ring in clang and dust. Amid the fray, a hulking figure in patched mail wielded a greatsword dulled by age. John's breath caught. The man moved with brutal precision reminiscent of Ser Arthur Dayne's legends. When the melee ended, he knelt before the dais and drew off his battered helm. Sandor Clegane raised scarred features to the Wolf King. "The hound returns," he rasped. "I've naught to swear but my sword. I'll follow the beast who killed the mountain in all but name." Memory flashed. Arya's kill list, the hound's grudging care for the girl. John inclined his head. "Rise, Ser Sandor. Your scars speak of trials survived. Serve, and let them stand for more than vengeance." Clegane grunted, perhaps grateful. Night fell violet. Bonfires flickered across city hills like constellations. John walked among revelers, Davos at his side. A minstrel plucked lute strings, crooning a new ballad of the Wolf King and his pale guardian. Women danced. Children chased each other waving wooden daggers. Ghost threaded through legs, accepting scraps of roast boar. "It worked," Davos said, wonder tinging rough voice. "Gods bless Bran's sight." "Hope is fragile," John replied. "One arrow loosed in fear could shatter it. Then we shield hope with law and bread." "You're doing it, lad." "Am I?" John tilted face to stars. For tonight, at least, he allowed himself a single, steady breath of air that did not taste of smoke. But hope invites envy. On the 7th day after the tourney, bells rang frantically across the city. Fire by the river gate. John galloped through narrow lanes, Ghost beside his destrier, to find a granary engulfed in flame. Casks of oil fed the blaze. Sparks leapt to neighboring rooftops. Bucket lines formed, small folk heaving water from cisterns, but the inferno roared. Over crackle and screams, John heard a shouted name. Bloodraven! Bloodraven's revenge! He dismounted, ordered archers to watch for culprits, and joined the line, passing sloshing leather pails until arms burned. Ghost darted through smoke to drag a child from a collapsing shed. Finally, dawn rain-doused smoldering beams, but half the grain stores were lost. Council met in the solar, ash smeared on cuffs. Tyrion spread reports. Ser Bors Hill boasts of agents within the city. The fire is proof. Then we hunt him, Davos growled. Force will only scatter him, Sam objected. And we cannot spare troops. Harvests are thin. John listened as arguments tangled. He looked at Ghost, fur mottled with soot but eyes bright, and felt clarity settle. We will ride, he said, not to kill Hill, but to show the realm its king faces danger beside them. I leave at dawn with a company of trusted knights. We ride under a white banner bearing Ghost's eye alone. No sigils of lion or dragon for our enemy to twist in rumor. Ser Brienne bowed. I will ride at your side. And I, said Sandor Clegane, cracking burned knuckles, sick of rats who burn corn. Tyrion closed his ledger. The hand will steer the capital. Just promise to bring that wolf back. John managed a thin smile. We always return. They rode south along the Rose Road, through stretches where fields lay fallow and hamlets crouched behind palisades of sharpened stakes. Peasants gaped at the dire wolf crest flapping from John's spear. A white circle on gray cloth, red slashes for eyes, a sigil stripped to essence. At every village, John halted, listened to grievances, left sacks of grain from crown stores, replaced thatch with coin. Stories of the Wolf King spread ahead like wind-borne seeds. In Bitterbridge, a woman whose sons died to dragonfire fell to knees, weeping at Ghost's feet. She pressed a charred wooden toy into John's hand. "Promise me," she begged. "No more fire. No more fire," John echoed, though frost and steel might yet claim lives. They tracked raiders to ruins of Summerhall, where stone arches jutted like ribs from weeds. Asha's swift longships had blocked retreat by river, and Brienne's scouts drove stragglers into a courtyard littered with moss-choked statues of long-dead kings. Ser Bors Hill stood beneath a scorched weirwood sapling, sword lifted high. "You wear wolf's crown but bear dragon's blood," he spat. "You'll burn us next." John dismounted. No dragons remain. Ghost stalked left, a white shadow. John drew Longclaw, Valyrian steel still sharp as betrayal. "We fight if you insist, but you'll die for lies you spun." Hill sneered. "My cell's words crave coin, not cause, yet 'cause I give them. Revenge for every child roasted while northern bastards watched. Kill the wolf, break the crown." Archers loosed. Ghost sprang, fangs crushing throats before arrows found flesh. Brienne charged, shield up, Sandor's greatsword hewed. Steel rang beneath crumbling towers. John parried Hill's savage swing, sparks flying from Valyrian edge. Thunder rumbled overhead though sky was clear, echo of blades meeting. "You think the kingdom wants peace?" Hill gasped, staggering. "Peace breeds fat purses, soft hearts. Fear rules. Fear ends." John slid steel through mail, felt resistance give. Hill's eyes widened, mouth forming a curse that became silence. He fell beside the sapling's roots. Red seeped into soil. Rain began, soft spring rain this time, not bloodless but cleansing. John lifted face to it, bitterness washing down. They returned to King's Landing by midsummer. The rebuilt granary overflowed, farmers from Reach and Riverlands sending surplus in gratitude for remission of debts. Ghost Sigil flew atop the Red Keep's highest tower, pale banner stirring against cerulean sky. On the day of return, John climbed the throne room dais at last and sat. The fused steel chafed his back, edges biting through cloak, but he kept still. He thought of his watch brothers, of Ygritte's wild laughter, of Daenerys's hopeful smile turned to ash, of his father's quiet honor and his mother's distant tears. All ghosts gathered, silent. Ghost padded up steps, lay at John's feet, and placed muzzle upon boot. Lords and ladies witnessed. No herald announced it, yet none needed. The realm saw symbol made flesh. A king bound to duty, guarded by loyalty untamed. From windows broken and unglazed, wind carried the far-off clang of forges where melted swords were reforged into plowshares and sickles. John imagined fields golden beneath sun, children chasing direwolf pennants merely for play, no longer for prophecy of doom. Such visions might take decades, perhaps lifetimes. He would begin now, a scribe cleared throat, ready to read petitions. John raised hand. "First," he said, voice firm but quiet, "send ravens north to every holdfast, east to islands, south to Dorne, west to the sea. Tell them the Wolf King remembers." His eyes drifted to Ghost. "And the wolf keeps watch." Silence settled, deep and sure. Outside, a bell tolled. Not cracked, not mournful, but clear, bright, unbroken, signaling the hour of the direwolf's reign. It rang once, twice, thrice, and with each note Jon Snow felt the realm breathe a fraction easier, as though chains of history loosened notch by notch. The future would demand vigilance. Storms would come. Yet the sigil flying over King's Landing promised that in the darkest night, a pair of red eyes would shine, unyielding, uncompromising, and fiercely alive, guiding both king and realm toward whatever dawn they could claim together. Snow wheeled through the air outside the Tower of the Hand, soft and swirling, though the calendar still insisted it was late summer. The maesters blamed strange currents from the sunset sea and the lingering sorceries of a wounded world. Yet Jon recognized another truth. Whatever magic first cold-forged the wall did not care for Southron almanacs. When a king of winter wore a crown in summer, the seasons themselves bent in quiet protest. Inside the tower, candles guttered despite shuttered windows. John leaned over a driftwood table scarred by generations of hands who had beaten their knuckles in frustration. Maps lay spread beneath weighted daggers. Davos, Brienne, Tyrion, and Sam stood round, faces lantern-lit, each focused on separate crises that nonetheless knotted together like roots beneath a weirwood. Ser Davos tapped the reach with a stubbed finger. Lady Allery Hightower refuses further grain shipments until her tithes shrink by half. Says Old Town's granaries run low and Citadel acolytes mutter famine. His mouth twisted wryly. Funny how a city built around knowledge forgets how to store grain. Old Town's hunger is real, Sam said, voice trembling between empathy and exasperation. But the tithes were never meant to starve them, only offset crown work crews rebuilding the Rose Road. Tyrion steepled his hands. Allery knows that. She gambles the threat of empty bellies will scare your fledgling reign into concessions. He flashed a grin bereft of mirth. Welcome to rule, your grace. Every gift delivered with a knife inside. John rubbed temples. We send a convoy bearing sacks of barley and letters explaining how many Crownlanders still live beneath canvas. He looked to Brienne. Escort it with 100 veterans, quiet strength, not intimidation. And carry Ghost's banner, not mine. Brienne inclined her head. The dire wolf travels. Davos cleared his throat. War drums from List 2. M-Lord, beg pardon, your grace. Their Archon's emissaries arrived in Gulltown 2 days past, pressing for repayment of Braavosi loans King Robert never honored. Tyrion snorted. Lys. Braavos holds the notes, not those perfumed pirates. Yet they sail under Braavosi seals, Davos replied. Colors match, signatures forged or borrowed. Enough to fool lords who see only coin. John considered. We cannot repay what Robert squandered, but we can negotiate. He glanced at Tyrion. Send ravens offering trade rights in Sisterton for any city willing to grant a year's grace on interest.
Sam scribbled, quill scratching.
And if Lys refuses? Then we remind them half their ship's berth in docks we control from Duskendale to Maidenpool. They may seize coin, but they'll pay thrice in tariffs. Tyrion's smile turned predatory. Even pirates understand arithmetic. John leaned back, weary. Decisions multiplied faster than ravens could carry them. Every compromise risked offending another lord, another guild, another hungry mob. He missed the simplicity of the wall, simple only in memory, perhaps, yet certain in duty. Guard the realm, stand the night. A distant howl curled through stone. Ghost, somewhere in the keep's courtyards, announcing moonrise. John's spine tingled. He drew breath, tasting snow on the wind. Brienne spoke softly. We've kept you too long, sire. Rest or you'll rule from a bier. Davos chuckled darkly. Dead kings stay honest, at least. John mustered a faint smile. I'll sleep when the crown no longer pinches. Tyrion's gaze found the steel circlet upon the table. The crown John removed whenever council convened, as though it hampered thought. It pinches because your head still grows, Tyrion said quietly. Let it, but do not shrink the crown to match. He found Ghost beside the broken dragon skulls in Maegor's cellar passage, where shadows danced grotesque upon cavernous domes. The dire wolf paced restlessly, coat silvered by torch flame. John knelt, pressing forehead to warm fur. Easy, boy. The realm snarls. No need for you to match its voice. Ghost snorted, licking frost from John's beard. The sound of claws on stone echoed, and Arya emerged from deeper gloom like a streak of shadow, sea salt in her hair and an odd half-smile on her lips. You move quieter than most cats, John said. All the better to stalk kings. She embraced him, bones hard under travel leathers. Nymeria sends greetings from the neck. More wolves answer her whistle every week. The realm may need them sooner than we hoped. John stood, studying her. You're thinner. Storms off Skagos lasted 14 days. Half our stores spoiled. But I've seen stranger seas. She flicked a glance at Ghost. He led me here. Guess your council walled you in again. They try. John exhaled. You sail west again soon? Not yet. I'm to carry letters to Lord Manderley in White Harbor, then guide a fleet of relief north to Last Hearth. Queen Sansa's roads still flood with melt. Jon's heart tightened hearing Sansa titled Queen, though he had ceded the north willingly. Tell her the Red Keep stands when she's ready to visit. I will. Arya brushed a thumb over the pommel of needle. But there's more. She lowered her voice. Ranger reports from Skagos speak of strange fires on islands abandoned since the long night. Emerald flames that do not dim in rain. Wildfire. She shook her head. Too far north for dragon alchemists. And green fire that burns upon water. Some think sorcery awoke again. Jon felt chill deeper than cellar air. Word cannot spread. Panic breeds fools. Arya's smile was wolfish. Let them breed. Wolves cull fools. He placed a hand upon her shoulder. Even wolves tire. Not this one. She winked and slipped back into tunnels, leaving only echoes and ghosts' inquisitive stare. 6 weeks later, courtiers gasped as ravens arrived bearing black wax stamped with kraken sigils half-melted by salt. Lady Asha Greyjoy returned victorious from the bite, hauling 36 ironborn captives shackled in silence. She marched them through the King's Gate at dawn, banners snapping in sea spray wind. Grey direwolf wolfshed above Seawolf of Pike. Small folk cheered while some pelted prisoners with rotten crab. It was the first time in living memory ironborn reavers entered King's Landing not to sack but to bend knee. In the throne room, Jon watched Asha shove her prisoners before the dais. Tried to crown themselves Lord's Reaver, she said, spitting blood from split lip. I crowned them with broken oars instead. She produced a dagger of black glass, dragon glass, rare outside the north. Found crates of these aboard their flagship. Smuggled from Skagos by branding on the crates. Brand's warning again. Emerald flames, and now dragonglass emerging in southern seas like teeth-breaching skin. Jon looked to Maester Sam, who paled. Skagos' cliffs were rumored to hold much dragonglass, Sam murmured, fidgeting. But mined?
Impossible.
Its quarries are legend, sealed since the Dawn Age. Jon weighed the obsidian blade. Not sealed if smugglers dig, or something beneath stirs men to dig deeper. He turned to the captives. Their leader, a gaunt man with weeping salt sores, met Jon's gaze without falter. We serve the drowned god, he rasped. And the god whispers of dead things waking, cold things that hate your white wolf as much as they hate fire. Silence crashed like surf. Ghost growled low. Jon descended 2 steps. The dead I killed once already. Should they rise again, your drowned god will drown anew. He motioned to Davos. Chain them in the black cells until the maesters coax truth. Asha grinned. Salt and steel, your grace. The old ways wail in their veins. Let them wail. Jon dismissed the hall. That night thunder rolled over the city, though skies remained star-clear. Jon lay awake in a simple soldier's pallet. He refused the sumptuous featherbed that once cradled mad King Aerys, and watched candle flames bend though no draft stirred. Ghost's ears flattened. A whisper rode the thunder, indistinct yet urgent, pulling Jon toward restless dreamscape. He wandered corridors of ice, down staircases hewn of blue crystal. Everywhere torches sputtered with emerald fire. At the corridor's end, Bran waited upon a wooden throne that grew from roots curling up through frost. Ravens clustered behind him like rooks upon a blasted field. The fire beneath the snow is not dragon fire, Bran said, voice echoing like cavern drip. It is older. It is blood of the earth seeking veins to breathe again. Wildfire, Jon asked. Wildfire is man-made green. This is elder. Beware the heart that burns though it never beats. The dream quaked. The ice cracked in spiderweb fractures. Below, black water churned, dotted with pinprick stars as though the sky lay mirrored. Jon reached for Ghost but found only emptiness. A roar, a direwolf's or something larger, rippled from the depths and the dream shattered. He woke gasping. Ghost stood bristling beside the pallet, eyes fixed on the window. Outside, a comet of pale green streaked across the heavens, tail as long as the Blackwater's curve. It burned silent, then vanished over the narrow sea. Jon rushed to the ramparts. Guards pointed upward, mouths agape. The comet's dying glow still painted clouds jade. Some fell to knees, making signs of the seven. Others whispered of the prince that was promised or of the dawn age returning. Tyrion joined him, half-cloak thrown hastily over nightshirt. A fine omen, depending on who coins the tale first. Jon sighed. Which tale serves the realm? Tyrion's eyes twinkled in torchlight. Yours, if you speak before dawn breaks. He assembled the city's septons, magi, and maesters upon the Dragon Pit Hill by first light. The comet's trail still faintly glimmered, a bruise upon sky. Jon addressed the gathering without crown, holding only a torch whose flame guttered harmless orange. Last night we saw a light older than kings, he began. Some will name it blessing, others curse. But a king who kneels to shapes in sky is no king. We determine meaning by deeds, not by fear. He signaled, and archers set fire to 3 pyres of broken swords. Remnants melted from the throne's twisted mass. Green flame erupted. Wildfire captured from Cersei's caches flared high, devouring steel. People recoiled, but Jon stepped toward the pyres until heat shimmered around him, torchlight eclipsed by emerald glare. I have burned away arms raised in hate, he said, voice carrying above crackle. Let this comet remind us. Fire can forge or kill. The choice is ours. When the pyres died, ash drifted upon the plaza like gray snow. Jon plunged the torch into wet sand, extinguishing it with hiss. No more omens from above, he said. Only the work of our hands. Somewhere in the crowd a chant began, soft at first, building, Dire wolf, dire wolf. It spread until thousands echoed, a low growl of unity. Tyrion sidled close. You've won today, but prophecies breed like rats. I cannot muzzle every rat, Jon answered, but Ghost eats well. Autumn's first frost dusted the King's Road when Jon rode north for Winterfell. He traveled light. Jon, Davos, Arya, Sandor Clegane, a handful of sworn shields. Ghost led the column, paws crunching brittle leaves. They bore gifts, sacks of corn, bolts of Dornish linen, and forged documents granting the North free trade across rebuilt bridges at Moat Cailin. Jon needed to see home, to kneel not as king but as brother at his father's grave. He also needed to confer with Sansa about Skagos and whispers of sorcery. Ravens delivered words. Siblings required looks. The journey took 10 days. Forests bled crimson and gold. Villages greeted them with wary nods. Wildlings patrolled highway camps under Tormund's banner, trading furs for copper pans. At Queen's Crown, the party shared goat stew with distant cousins of Glover and Mormont, who toasted the Wolf King with honeymead sweet enough to sting. Ghost ranged ahead, returning nightly with hairs to drop at Jon's feet, a silent offering. When Winterfell's gray towers rose on horizon, Jon's chest swelled and ached all at once. The castle walls gleamed where new stone met old. Smoke curled from smithy chimneys. Children's laughter drifted across the glass gardens where hot springs steamed. Sansa awaited in the courtyard, cloak of white fox trimmed with ash-brown wool. She embraced Jon long, then stepped back to study his eyes. You look taller, she said, half teasing. Crown ways, Jon muttered. They walked arm in arm beneath heart-tree boughs. Arya peeled away, racing Ghost to the kennels. Davos struck up quiet conversation with the master of horse, exchanging tales of storms. Sandor found the kitchens. Sansa led Jon to a bench over warm stone. The North mends, she said. But slowly, we lost 3 harvests to White Walkers and Dragonfire Frost. I've dispatched ravens begging seed, not silver. Seed you shall have, Jon said. Our stores overflow thanks to the Reach tithe. Gold cloaks watch each shipment. Only Stormland's bandits dare raid now. Sansa smirked. You become a proper king. Measure success by bandits' complaints. He laughed lightly, then sobered. Yet deeper worries gnaw. Dragonglass flows from Skagos and wildfire green trails stain the sky. Bran speaks in riddles of burning hearts. Sansa's smile faded. Bran has not spoken to me since the comet. He sits beneath the heart tree at dusk. Eyes roll white as if chasing crows across worlds. Maester Wolkan frets but can do nothing. Bran claims he listens to the blood of roots. Jon frowned. I'll speak with him. Meanwhile, double scouts along the shivering sea. If smugglers mine dragonglass, we must know. Sansa nodded. And Skagos? I plan to sail there come spring. He caught her look. I must. If you die, the realm contradicts itself, she whispered. Southern lords barely accept a northern king. They will not stomach a void. Jon pressed her hand. I would ask you to rule as regent if I fall. She stiffened. The North swore itself independent. The North swore to you, he corrected gently. And you are my sister. No law forbids a queen from ruling 2 thrones if she chooses. I ask only the promise, not the burden yet. She studied him long, then inclined her head. Promise given, but only if Arya promises to serve as fist. Her fists serve themselves, Jon muttered. They shared weary laughter as leaves fell crimson upon their shoulders. Bran waited by the black pool, wheelchair half-shrouded in morning mist rising from warm water meeting frost. Ghost sat opposite, head cocked. Ravens gathered in branches heavy with snow crust though sun shone bright. Jon approached. Bran's eyes were open, yet distant. Brother, Jon called softly. I see you, Bran replied, voice hollow. Jon knelt. Tell me of the fire. The fire is not flame, Bran said. It is memory. The world remembers being molten and yearns for first heat. Where stone cracked by ice meets blood of dragons, the memory quickens. It seeks mouths. Men's greed, wolves' hunger, kraken's depth. Can it be stopped? Bran's eyes finally focused. You stopped the long night not by blade, but by binding dead and living through sacrifice. This fire requires same. A heart offered willingly, innocent yet not naive, pure yet unafraid. Jon felt breath quicken. Whose heart? Bran's gaze slid to Ghost. A symbol may suffice, for symbols shape spirits of men. Direwolf stands for vigilance. If the realm holds fast to that vigilance, the fire flickers to warning, not weapon. Jon exhaled. So we guard, not surrender. Guard with eyes open, Bran said, and sail when the ice breaks. Jon placed hand on Bran's shoulder. I'll return. Not all journeys return, Bran murmured, but smiled faintly. Yet I will see you again, in one form or another. Winterfell's great hall roared with feast that night. Roast reindeer basted in blackberry wine, turnips sweetened by honey, loaves shaped like wolves for children's delight. Musicians plucked harp and fiddle. Arya taught southern squires the steps of a Braavosi sea dance, laughing when they tripped. For a few hours, war and omens faded. Jon drank hot cider beside the hearth. Ghost sprawled across his boots. Sansa and Davos discussed harbor freeze timetables. Tyrion, arrived by Raven Post chaise after outracing early snows, argued dice odds with Sandor. A raven tapped stone outside the high window, a white bird bearing blue seal of the Vale. Tyrion fetched the message, brow arching. He crossed to Jon, voice low. Lord Robin Arryn, Tyrion said, requests betrothal of his half-sister Maya Stone to, of all people, Gendry Baratheon. He appeals for royal blessing. Jon blinked. A bastard wed to a bastard? Some will gnash teeth. Let them. Tyrion shrugged. It unites Baratheon Hammer with Arryn Falcon. More important, both share loyalty to you. And Stone's mother, Obara Sand, Jon recalled. Exactly. Tyrion's eyes glinted. A thread of Dorne woven north. Factions cross-knotted become knots no sword can sever. Jon considered. So many knots may strangle. Better strangled by peace than cut by war. Jon rolled the parchment, slid it over flame until wax softened, and stamped his direwolf seal. Let them wed in the dragon pit come spring. The realm will feast on union, not prophecy. Tyrion laughed softly. Kings rarely choose their own comforts, yet you craft others' joys. One day you must craft your own. John gazed at Ghost. When Ghost grows weary of court, we'll retire beyond the wall and let hearts freeze quiet. Wolves seldom weary before men. Then I have time yet. John lifted his cup. Tyrion clinked. Firelight flickered across stone, painting both men gold and red and white, all the colors of a realm reforged. They rode south once more as first snows glimmered under new moon. Along the King's Road refugees followed, drawn by rumors of work rebuilding capital walls. John allowed them alongside. Campfires stretched like constellations across winter fields. Bards traveled too, singing the ballad of the Wolf King, already more myth than man. Outside Fairmarket, a moss-covered septon hailed John, begging audience. His nose dripped, robe patched. I have walk. Ed from the Trident. He wheezed, bearing vision granted by the Seven. He produced a parchment smudged by rain. They decree your sigil incomplete. John accepted the parchment. Upon it a crude drawing, a direwolf haloed by 7-pointed star. 7 points for 7 kingdoms, the Septon said. Only thus will peace endure. John handed parchment back. The realm is not 7 pieces but one body. The direwolf watches for all. He returned to saddle. Keep walking, Septon. Let your feet ground you more than visions. Some knights muttered at his brusqueness. Tyrion merely grinned. Prophets sprout in winter like mushrooms in rot, he murmured. Best pluck them before they poison. King's Landing received them beneath icy drizzle. Streets now paved with slate rather than ash. New Market sold pine wreaths scented with juniper. A wooden arch over the mud gate bore carved direwolf eyes inlaid with garnet shards. Yet tension lurked. Whispers of comet prophecy revived by wandering septons. Iron-born prisoners died mysteriously, throats slit in black cells. Wildfire stores vanished from alchemists' vaults. In the solar, reports mounted. Lannisport dockworkers caught cloaked men ladling wildfire from barrels into clay pots. They fled, leaving brand of a flayed man scorched onto dock post. Sigil of House Bolton long thought extinguished. John rubbed brow. Ramsay dead, Dreadfort burnt, yet cruelty breeds spawn. Who aids them? Mercenaries from Essos, Brienne said. Sell sails who fought for Cersei, now marooned. Tyrion exhaled. Wildfire plus Bolton madness equals spectacle they'll sell to highest bidder. John rose. No longer. Ready a fleet, Gendry's Stormbreakers, Asha's Kraken Hunters, and Braavosi allies promise trade grace. We sail west first light. We burn no city, only ships bearing poison. Davos bowed. I'll master the fleet. John clasped his forearm. And I sail with you. Tyrion's protest died at John's glance. Very well, the hand sighed. I shall mind your throne with ghost-like fondness. Ghost woofed as if teasing claim. The hammer of water's fleet, named for mythic children of the forest magic, cut through slate waves under steel sky. 70 ships, their masts bearing white direwolves on gray, billowed across Blackwater Bay. John stood at Storm's Valor's prow, longclaw sheathed, salt spray soaking cloak. Davos navigated reefs with instinct of lifelong smuggler. They reached Lannisport at dusk. Smoke smudged horizon, burning warehouses. Sailors clambered rigging, eyes wide. From harbor mouth, a carrack erupted in emerald blossom, hull shattering, mast launching skyward like flaming spear. Wildfire pots. Archers, Davos roared. Douse arrowheads. But before arrows flew, a lone galley sprinted from smoke, sails shredded, deck awash with bodies. Atop forecastle, a woman in tattered Bolton sigil raised twin torches of green flame, eyes wild with zeal. She hurled both into sea. Waves ignited in sheets of emerald. The galley vanished in explosion, shockwave rocking Storm's valor, hurling sailors to deck. John clung to rail. Ghost snarled beside him. Bran's warning of memory fire screamed in John's ears. He spotted more torches arcing from hidden skiffs, each lighting sea lanes. If the pattern closed, wildfire would trap the royal fleet inside a ring of burning water. Break the circle, Jon bellowed, "Rams the ring!" Davos swung tiller. The Valor heaved, prow spearing toward narrow gaps still unlit. Other crown ships followed, sails catching crosswinds. Asha's Seafong surged ahead, her crew singing reaver songs. They smashed through a skiff, splinters and screams scattering. Wildfire licked hull, but seawater hissed it out. Jon watched sailors scramble with chain-dampened blankets, smothering green tongues. One by one, royal ships burst free of the ring. Behind, wildfire seethed, turning bay into jade inferno. Lannisport's harbor burned, but city walls remained unscathed. Shadows moved upon cliff paths, archers loyal to House Westerling, still wearing lion colors but sworn to the Wolf King, rained arrows on saboteurs. Flames lit cliffs like forged bronze. Cries echoed, then silence. Dawn rose lavender. Charred wreckage drifted on gentle tide, emerald smoke thinning. Jon rowed ashore with landing party. They found survivors, some Bolton zealots, others mere pirates offered coin. All told same story. A pale priestess of Lawler preaching that gods of fire demanded sacrifice of dire Wolf King lest frozen doom return. A pale priestess? Jon asked. "I," coughed one man, face blistered, skin like milk, hair white as moon. "She burned her own hand to show pain is glory." Ghost-bared teeth. Jon looked seaward, where wildfire green tinted morning fog. "She sails still," he murmured, "chasing hearts to burn." Davos touched his sleeve. "We butchered her ships, but witchcraft travels light. She'll flee east. East or north, she'll find coals to stoke." Jon's eyes hardened. "We return to capital. Prepare for winter's second war, a fire against vigilance." Back at King's Landing, refugees crowded gates seeking safety from rumors of green firestorms. Tyrion's councils bristled with panic. Jon convened assembly in Dragon Pit. Lords, maesters, guildmasters, septons. He spoke plain. "Enemies wield flame as fear. We answer with unity. No lone god nor bitter house will own tomorrow." He raised Longclaw. "This sword slew dead kings of ice. It will sever arms that hurl fire. But swords alone fail, so we build walls of trust. Grain shared, roads guarded, truth told." He announced edict. Every house to send apprentices to Citadel and Pyromancer's Guild both, to learn science of flame and countermeasures. Every city to store sand, vinegar, and chain blankets near harbors. Ravens to carry reports of odd fires under penalty of treason. Some balked. Trade secrets lost, coffers strained. Jon listened, then stripped 3 lords of titles when they refused. The chamber fell silent. Resistance folded. Later, Tyrion approached, tone cautious. "You risk rebellion when you break lords so publicly." Jon removed crown, set it upon table. "Let them rebel against rebuilding. The realm will choose grain over pride." Tyrion chuckled. "You grew teeth sharper than Ghost." Jon's fatigue surfaced. "Teeth break too, if overused. Then chew iron sparingly." Jon nodded, hand resting on direwolf sigil etched into table by some unnamed craftsman. "The realm's heart beats slow, but steady. I will match its rhythm." Winter deepened. Snow blanketed King's Landing for first time in 30 years. Children built wolf effigies on the Street of Sisters. Septons blessed them, claiming the direwolf guarded faith as well as throne. Peppermint smoke drifted from market stalls. Once sick air of ash smelled now of cedar and pine. Yet omens persisted. Fishermen hauled nets glowing faintly green. Phosphorescent algae, maesters reasoned, yet nets smoldered where slime touched. Blind beggars dreamed of wolves aflame with jade eyes. Mothers awoke to find hearth fires burning snow blue. On the longest night, Bran's raven arrived. The sea at Eastwatch cracked, releasing younger dragons of ice. Myth become flesh. Jon read the words thrice. He gathered counsel. Skagos must wait. The wall requires king and wolf. Davos protested. Sail in dead winter and we founder under ice. Sandor grunted. Better ice than green fire licking arse. Tyrion placed cool down. Kings die at sea, thrones drown. Jon's answer came easy. Thrones matter less than living hearts. He ordered preparations. 3 icebreakers, hulls reinforced with weirwood ribs and charred pitch, would blessed by old gods withstands cold and flame. Gendry forged new dragonglass spears, black and brittle, but edge-hungry. Asha curated crew of Northmen and Ironborn who had survived whites once. They laughed at doom. On departure morn, Ghost lingered at dock, sniffing swirling snow. Tyrion clasped Jon's arm. "Return, my friend, or these stones will miss their stubborn king." Jon smiled sadly. "Stones endure, and hearts," Tyrion asked. "Beat on," Jon said. When guarded by wolves, he boarded the Frostfang. Sails billowed, cords creaked, and the fleet slipped into wrinkled sea, lanterns swinging like dim stars. From the Red Keep rampart, Sansa watched silhouette fade. Her breath plumed, snowflakes kissed cheeks. She whispered to wind, "Guard him, ghost of ours. Guard us all." High above, white banner flapped. Direwolf stitched upon winter sky, eyes red, patient, eternal. North of the wall, black waters churned beneath frozen moon. Shapes moved in the deep, some scaled like fish, others boned like men long drowned. Above, ice dragons beat wings that cracked thunder. On Frostfang's deck, Jon Snow raised dragonglass spear, ghosts howl splitting night. In that moment, steel met frost, fire met memory, and the heart of a realm beat louder than fear. And somewhere in tangled darkness of sky and sea, a pale green spark flickered, waiting, watching, but held at bay by vigilance unblinking. The red-eyed promise of a wolf who would never sleep while men yet dared to dream of dawn. The Eastwatch lighthouse stood like a lonely fong against a bruised horizon, its fire long dead, its high windows shuttered by wind-blown ice. Frostfang carved a sluggish path through floating plates of brackish slush, half sea, half meltwater from the shivering sea's curling edge. Snow sifted sideways, driven by a gale that keened across rigging and rattled every loose ring of steel. Jon Snow braced himself at the prow, cloak stiff with salt and rime, ghost-pale beard crusted crystalline. Ahead, the wall loomed, a broken white leviathan stretching westward until swallowed by storm. Gaps yawned where ice had collapsed in the long night's end, and dark scars of wildfire still marred the masonry. Souvenirs of men too frightened to fight whites except by burning what they meant to defend. Ghost's red gaze fixed upon the shore as though he could already sense something fouler than Sirat waiting among those jagged ruins. The direwolf's hackles rippled, fur bristling in mute warning. Jon laid a gloved hand upon the great head. "Easy," he murmured, though his own pulse beat quick as a war drum. Behind him the fleet wallowed, hulls creaking. Storm's valor with Davos at the helm, Seafong bearing Asha Greyjoy's black banner, and Ice Singer, Arya's prize from Braavosi shipwrights, its prow carved like a snowfox. Lanterns flickered green, gold, and crimson, muffled by canvas to hide their glow from any watching eyes, living or dead. Sails sagged heavy with sleet. Ropes groaned under sleeve-thick ice. Davos came beside Jon, stamping numb feet. "I never thought I'd see Eastwatch again," he said, voice swallowed by wind. "Last time the place crawled with dead men and dragonglass shafts flying every which way." "Let's pray this visit proves quieter," Jon answered, though he doubted any god listened north of the wall now. He lifted his spyglass. The shore seemed deserted, no torches, no signal fires. Only a ragged sentinel tree twisted above the snow, limbs clattering like bones. Asha's voice hailed across the water as her ship drew near. "Docks shattered," she yelled, cupping hands. "We'll run aground on shingle and hope the hull holds." Jon signaled assent. The captains barked orders. Sailors trimmed tattered sails. Frostfang lurched, keel scraping gravel with a teeth-grinding screech. Lines hissed through cleats, anchors splashed, and the ship settled with a weary sigh. The landing party assembled quickly. Jon, Ghost, Davos, Arya, Sandor Clegane, and 20 spearmen clad in boiled leather over chain. Their helms rhymed. Each carried dragonglass spear or axe. Each wore tabards blank but for a stitched white circle, 2 crimson slits. Eyes of the direwolf, guardian unseen. They waded ashore, seawater freezing to boots, breath pluming. Above them, the wall's shattered rampart brooded, a long white cliff under slate sky. Sandor sniffed. Smells like piss and grave mold. He hefted greatsword, scabbard jingling with frozen rings. Your dead friends still roam? Not friends, John said, and I pray they sleep. But his hand rested on Longclaw's pommel all the same. They climbed ruined steps, cracked by ice heaves, until they stood upon Eastwatch's outer yard. Snow lay knee-deep, drifted into sinuous shapes where wind had carved hollows. Half-collapsed barracks leaned drunkenly. Shutters banged loose. Arya darted ahead, leaving wolf-light footprints atop crust that supported her feather weight. She pushed on a door. It shrieked inward to reveal empty bunks dusted white. No bodies, no signs of battle, just abandonment. Davos peered into shadows. Night's Watch never returned? They tried, John said. But when the wall fell, the brothers were scattered. Some rode south to join Sansa's guard. Others vanished. He gestured toward a sagging watchtower. Let's light the beacon. Announce Eastwatch lives again. Climbing the spiral left John panting. The air tasted thin, iron cold. Atop the tower, the beacon cage gaped empty, its iron ribs bent. Snow filled it like a bleached nest. Arya scaled the final ladder and stood, hair whipping wild. She struck flint to tinder. Davos fed kindling of pine splinters soaked in lamp oil. Soon orange tongues licked snow, hissing. Smoke spiraled skyward, a smear of charcoal against bruised clouds. Ghost patted the parapet, nose working. A sudden low growl rumbled from his chest. John followed the direwolf stare north across the frozen bay. There, between hummocks of sea ice, a shape moved, large, sinuous, pale as moonlit milk. At first John thought it a drifting berg. Then the berg sprouted wings. Dragon, Sandor muttered, voice flat with dread. Not a dragon of flesh and flame. This creature was carved from rime itself. Wings a lattice of brittle frost, baleful eyes shining blue. It skimmed the ice soundlessly, wind of its passage tossing plumes of powdered snow. Arya drew needle, though the blade looked pitiful small. How many? She asked. Just one, John said. Yet one ice dragon could scour a field of spears. His mind flashed back to Viserion unbound, blue fire tearing the wall. This beast might wield colder breath still. Davos cursed softly. We have ballistae on ship decks, but ashore we're naked. John's breath steamed heavy. He recalled Bran's words. Ice dragons beat wings and thunder cracked. But another prophecy glimmered too, the fire older than wildfire, seeking hearts. If ice and green fire waged war, the realm lay between hammer and anvil. We hold, he decided. Form ranks, spears ready but no torches. Light will draw it. Men obeyed, crouching behind crenels. The dragon drifted closer, wings unfurled like shattered glass catching starlight. When it reached the breakers it paused, head tilting. Nostrils, dark pits, flared. John felt rather than heard a keening note, too low for ears, vibrating marrow. Ghost snarled louder, mouth frothed white. Then another sound cut through wind. A horn, single long blast from somewhere inland beyond the wall. The dragon twisted, listening. A second horn answered from farther west, then a third. The beast wheeled, rising in lazy spiral, and glided toward the calls, soon lost in swirling snow. Relief sagged every shoulder. Davos wiped sweat though cold. Someone summoned it away, or commanded. John's jaw clenched. We find who. They made camp in the ruined mess hall where stone ovens offered shelter. Fires crackled. Tin cups of hot broth warmed numb fingers. John spread maps upon cask top. Bran had inked them with fresh observations. Ice fractures, forest burn scars, odd green glows. A dotted line traced from Skagos across sea, then inland to a mark labeled Heart Hollow. Beside it Bran had scrawled one word, convergence. Arya studied the marks. Heart Hollow sits near the haunted forest spine. Old free folk say a cave there breathes light. Sandor grunted. Caves that breathe eat men whole. Still, Davos said. If Bran points, we follow. He dipped quill into ink, marking supply caches. Saltpan's garrison promised stag bacon. Queen's Crown pledged oats stored by wildlings now friends. Asha entered, cloak shaking off snow. Sifong took damage on landing, but she'll float, she reported. More worrying. My lookout spotted torches flickering on an iceberg 3 leagues out. Could be raiders, could be dead things with lanterns, hard to say. Monitor, Jon said. Post archers along shore. She nodded, eyeing map. If we trek inland, I'll bring flankers. Ironborn know slippery ice better than most Greenlanders. She smirked. We don't drown easy. Jon met her look. Good. We move at dawn. The men dispersed to bedrolls. Jon lingered, sipping broth grown tepid. Snow hissed against shattered shutters. Thoughts churned. Bran's fire, ice dragons, Lawler priestess. The world seemed to spin on axes unseen, yet all angled at this convergence. Ghost nudged him, then padded outside. Jon followed. Moonlight thin, bluish silvered the yard. Ghost sat, muzzle pointed skyward. Jon looked. Clouds parted like curtains to reveal the green comet again, but dimmer, tail frayed. A shard of emerald flame drifted free, falling earthward as tiny star. He tracked its path. It vanished behind the wall's outline, precisely where Heart Hollow lay. A sign? Or coincidence in cosmos uncaring? Either way, dawn would come. The march began beneath a slate pre-dawn. Snow-showed feet crunched crust. Breaths puffed. Ghost led, then Jon and Arya, spear brothers behind, Ironborn flankers, Sandor trailing with pack mules. Asha remained to guard fleet. The wind bit, even layers of wool, fur, leather could not banish knife-cold stealing between ribs. Trees soon closed around them. Gnarled pines hung with icicles like translucent daggers. Ravens watched, silent as judges. No animal tracks marred snow, unnatural hush. By high sun, though its disk glowed dim behind frosted veil, they reached a frozen stream choked by crystal-encrusted reeds. Footprints appeared there, single file, booted, scarcely dusting crust, leading west. Jon knelt, brushing drift aside. The prints were narrow, deep at heel, made by a tall, slender traveler bearing weight unevenly, as though burdened by pack or chains. Davos crouched. Recent, within 2 hours. Could be our priestess. Ghost sniffed, hackles rising. He bounded ahead, following trail. Jon signaled pursuit. They advanced, boots muffling crunch as troops spread in wedge. The tracks wound into a glade where old weirwoods clustered like a council. Their white bark glimmered. Red leaves clung stubborn despite season, eyes bleeding crimson sap. In glade's center, a stone circle rose. 5 toppled menhirs grown icy whiskers, one still standing, its top split. At its base knelt a woman robed in ragged red and white. Around her lay shallow fire pits, each pit lined with powdered dragonglass, glowing faintly green though no flame burned. She chanted low in Valyrian. The sounds slithered under skin. Jon halted at edge. "Step back from the circle," he called. The woman ceased, turning slowly. Her face startled him. Pale as bleached bone, eyes colorless save a limpid ring of viridian around unnaturally dilated pupils. White hair straggled from hood. Her left hand was blackened, fingers cracked, char lines creeping wristward. Yet she smiled. "Azor Akesi," she whispered, accent thick. "King of ash and snow, you come as foreseen." "I am no king of ash," Jon replied. "Name yourself." "I had a name once." She caressed burnt hand. "Now I am merely Via, voice of the first burning. I light the elder fire that remakes worlds." Her gaze shifted to Ghost. "And I have need of your hearth spirit." The spearman leveled weapons. Arya's blade flashed. Jon stepped forward. "You tried to burn Lannisport Harbor. You commanded the ice dragon." "Tiny flames," she said, tilting head. "Sparks for children. Here I prepare the true flare, to call the dawn star down, thaw the heart of ice buried since the breaking of the world." Blood and frost must meet to birth the fire crane who will purge corruption. Pretty words for murder, Sandor growled. You'll purge my arse. Via's color-rimmed eyes widened. Crude dog, you reek of fear fire, good fuel. Ghost snarled, advancing. The priestess's burnt hand rose. Green sparks danced from fissures in charred flesh, coalescing into small floating embers shaped like tears. The dire wolf hesitated, uneasy. John drew Longclaw, black blade glinting blue.
Stand Aside.
We will not let you take any heart, wolf or human. Via sighed. Poor king, still bound to mortal love. The wolf spirit must ascend. Only then may the elder fire be guided, not consumed. She spread arms, robe billowing tattered edges. Wind swirled, whipping snow into spirals. The fire pits ignited, emerald tongues erupting without spark. Dragonglass powder flared bright, lining runes carved in ground. Davos cursed and tossed waterskin. Liquid hissed but did little. Magic circles, he warned. John advanced. The air grew hot despite winter. Snow around Circle vaporized, exposing frozen earth. Longclaw vibrated faintly as if repelled. He swung at an emerald tongue. Steel passed through, but flame curled along blade, leaving no mark yet crackling menacing. Arya darted sideways, leapt over rune mark to strike the priestess. Yet midair a force hurled her back. She landed rolling, wind knocked out. Via walked the rings inside slowly, chanting. The flames rose higher, weaving shapes. Direwolf silhouettes, howling, then shattering into shards that flew skyward, merging into comet's color. Ghost lunged across boundary. John shouted, but the direwolf plunged through flame and scathed and clamped jaws on Via's burnt wrist. She screamed, the sound oddly joyous. The embers burst outward. Rings of emerald energy rippled. Ghost yelped, thrown aside. John rushed, swinging Longclaw. He cleaved the priestess's arm clean. The limb fell, splattering green ichor that hissed where it touched snow. Via staggered, laughing, bloodless stump sprang sparks. Yes, she cried. Blood of wolf, flesh of fire. Dragonglass powder exploded, sending shards in every direction. Men screamed as spikes pierced mail. Sandor shielded 2 soldiers, groaning when a shard gouged shoulder. Arya sprang, slicing Via's throat. Instead of blood, green fire roared from wound. The priestess disintegrated into plume of flaming ash that spiraled upward, merging with the comet smear overhead. The flames in pits guttered out.
Sie längse ran.
John knelt beside Ghost, checking for burns. The direwolf rose shakily, unharmed but trembling. Davos kicked snow over embers. 7 spare us. He eyed vanished priestess. Is she dead? Perhaps changed, John said, uneasy. Her essence joined the comet. So now the sky burns brighter, Arya muttered, wiping soot. Grand. John surveyed Circle. Dragonglass runes scorched into earth formed sigil akin to direwolf eclipsed by starburst. He memorized pattern. She wanted ghost spirit to guide elder fire. We thwarted her, but part of ritual completed. Sandor grimaced, yanking shard from cloak. What now? We reach Heart Hollow, John answered. Via's goal lies there. If Comet Peace fell, it may fuel power no wall can block. The march resumed under bloodless sun. Men bound wounds with strips of wolf skin. Spirits bruised yet unbroken. By dusk they entered denser forest where trunks arched overhead, bark black as char, branches webbed by hoarfrost filigree. Ghost padded silently, nose occasionally twitching skyward. Suddenly he halted, ears pricked. John approached. The direwolf pawed snow, uncovering circular slab of ice, perfectly smooth, faintly luminous. Within its depths glowed a star-shaped ember, pulsing green. The shard of comet. Arya knelt. So the sky truly fell. Davos touched hilt of his knife reverently. Looks like liquid glass trapped in ice. John studied. The ember seemed alive, throb matching his heartbeat. He recalled Via's goal. Awaken heart of ice with elder fire. If this shard fused with ancient glacier at Heart Hollow, who knew what monster might rise? He resolved to keep it from ever reaching that fissure. Sandor, hand me that ironwood chest. The hound retrieved box strapped to mule. John scooped surrounding ice chunk containing ember, placed it inside, sealed lid. We guard this with our lives. Sandor snorted. Lives cheap north of the wall, but fine. Night fell quick. They camped beneath overhang of stone shaped like wolf's jaw. Fires remained small. Fear of attracting dragon kept torches dim. John stared into flicker, mind replaying Via's words. Wolf spirit must ascend. What did it mean? Sacrifice ghost? Unthinkable. Yet legends told of greenseers merging with trees, dragon lords with beasts. Could a king merge with Sigil? Ghost curled against his side, warmth reassuring. John dozed. He dreamed. He stood atop the iron throne, but the hall was open to stars. The green comet hung overhead like a burning wound. Ghost sat on dais, eyes red suns. John lifted crown. It melted, becoming molten gold pouring down steps. Where gold touched stone, green flame erupted. People screamed, turned to ash silhouettes. Ghost howled, leapt into flame, and flame quieted. From ashes grew a weirwood sapling with direwolf face. John woke sweating, fire embers faint. He sensed rather than heard Bran's voice. Choice branches only if gardener dares prune. Then silence and wind. At dawn they reached Heart Hollow. The forest parted around a sinkhole broad as a tourney field, its edges jagged, rimmed with black ice. Within, a spiral stair of petrified roots descended into darkness lit by faint green glow rising like fog. Ravens circled overhead croaking. The ground trembled with distant thud, heartbeat of the world. Men exchanged uneasy glances. Arya drew steel. Davos murmured prayer to Mother. Sandor spat. John unlatched ironwood chest. The shard pulsed brighter, as though sensing kin. He pressed lid. We enter, he said. They descended single file, spears forward. Air grew warm, then hot, smelling of wet stone and pepper. Bioluminescent fungi clung to walls, casting sickly light. Deeper they wound until roots formed arching tunnel leading into vast cavern. There lay a glacier unlike any John had seen, contorted like a frozen whirlpool. Its core a massive hollow filled with liquid so clear it appeared empty save for streaks of green fire swirling slowly. Atop the rim, ice dragon perched, folded wings arching. Its eyes fixed on them, but it did not attack, as if waiting. At cavern's far side stood a figure of shadow, a man in ragged knight's watch cloak, face hidden. He held a staff tipped with dragonglass spearhead. The comet's green radiance reflected from facets along shaft. John stepped forward. Brother! The man raised head. It was Edison Tollett, dolorous Ed, though gaunt, eyes filmed blue-green. Jon Snow, he said, voice hollow. The wall broke, and so did we. Dead called. I answered. He indicated glacier. Heart of ice, breath of elder fire. I am its guardian now. John's throat tightened. You serve the dead? I serve balance, Ed whispered. Life tipped scales when dragons burn thousands. Now ice corrects. But without guide, correction becomes annihilation. Via sought wolf spirit to temper flame. You denied her, so the heart calls to you instead. He pointed spearhead at John. Enter the whirlpool. Join spirit of dire wolf to heart of ice. Bind elder fire with living pact, else ice dragon tears realm to stillness and fire comet scorches bones. Arya snarled. A trap. Ed's eyes softened momentarily. Perhaps, but prophecy seldom offers doors without knives beyond. John weighed choices. Sacrifice self or ghost? Fuse essence to unknown force? He remembered dream of dire wolf sapling calming flame. If ghost merged, but ghost was no mere spirit, he was friend. He unsheathed Longclaw. If a pact is needed, I will forge it, not my wolf. Ed nodded. Then step forth. Blade of Valyrian steel may conduct soul. Davos hissed, Sire, don't. John smiled sadly. Duty is the death of love, he said. quoting old vows. He met Arya's fierce glare. "Tell Sansa the crown is hers. If—" "No," Arya said, tears bright. "I'll not tell her you died for myths." Sandor's jaw worked. "Bloody stupid, Snowboy," Ghost whined, nudging Jon. The wolf's eyes glowed as if understanding. Jon stroked his fur. "Not goodbye," he whispered. He walked to Rim. Heat and cold radiated simultaneously, prickling skin. The glacier's hollow beckoned, green fire swirling beneath glassy surface like embryonic storm. He lifted chest, opened lid. The shard's glow spilled, dancing across ice. It leapt from box, orbiting him. Long claw vibrated. He plunged blade tip into ice. Crack. A fissure raced outward. The shard dove embedding at breach. The glacier pulsed, veins of green igniting. Ice dragon roared, wings unfurling. Ghost howled, sprinting to Jon's side. Sudden force tugged, like tide pulling soul. Jon felt consciousness stretch, tethered to flesh yet drawn into swirling fusion of cold and heat. Ghost's howl echoed inside his mind, melding. Images cascaded. Knights on wall, Ygritte's smile. Father in Godswood, ghost chasing leaves. Crown heavy, queen of Ash's eyes. All memories spun into vortex where Wolf's loyalty anchored man's will. Jon thrust will outward. No realm burns, no realm freezes. Balance. The whirlpool flared dazzling white-green, then dimmed to soft jade. The glacier's churn stilled. Ice dragon folded wings, eyes losing glow, crystals flaking off as inert frost. In the hush, a new heartbeat throbbed, steady, calm. Jon collapsed to knees on Rim. Ghost lay beside him, breathing slow, unhurt. Ed Tollett smiled faintly, color draining from his eyes until Brown returned. "It is done," he whispered, falling dead as burden left him. Arya rushed, catching Jon as he wavered. His eyes glowed faint jade, then faded to normal gray. He breathed, though each inhale seemed to carry weight of mountains. "What happened?" Davos asked. Jon looked at Ghost. The direwolf met gaze knowingly. "I tethered the fire within ice," Jon said. "Not bound by sacrifice of wolf or man, but by acceptance of both." He touched chest, felt warmth and chill at once. "I carry a spark now, so does Ghost. We are wardens of this heart. Sandor-eyed dragon, now statue. Wardens of what else?" "Of hope," Jon answered, rising shakily. "The world's memory of first flame tempered by winter's patience." Arya exhaled. "That better make sense in songs." Davos clapped Jon's shoulder. "You survived, lad. That's miracle enough." They bore Ed's body from cavern, laying him beneath weirwood roots above, old friend given to old gods. Winter sun broke through storm, lighting snow crystalline. Ghost trotted ahead, tail high, eyes flecked now with faint counting of green. North's auroras captured in pupils. Jon walked with new weightless weight inside, a twin ember and frost that steadied heartbeat like metronome of the realm. As they returned toward Eastwatch, ravens soared overhead, croaking. And far south, in King's Landing, bells chimed midday. Clear notes carried on wind, as though realm sensed a turn on unseen wheel. The direwolf banner fluttered atop Red Keep, eyes glowing bright against snow clouds. Winter's second war had ended before most knew it began, but tales would spread. Of Wolf King who balanced fire and ice, of comet shard cooled, of dragon turned silent. Some would believe, others doubt. Yet children would chase the story through streets, howling like direwolves until mothers called them home. And high above, the green comet's scar thinned each night, its fire banked. Another star rose beside it, cold white, steady, guiding sailors and shepherds alike. They named it Ghost's Lantern. Weeks later, Jon stood upon the repaired battlements of Winterfell, crown absent, hair streaked with silver frost from ordeal. Sansa beside him, Arya on parapet edge, Davos, Asha, Sandor behind. Bran's chair creaked as wind gusted, but he smiled. "The world forgets storms quickly," Bran observed, "yet memory endures in root and star." Jon nodded. We will remind them with deeds. He raised gaze as Ghost trotted along walkway, sniffing cold air. The direwolf paused, eyes shining red-green, torch and ice. Somewhere deep inside John mirrored glow. He felt the wall stones humming, heard distant surf at pike, sensed olive groves in dawn warming. Balance. He spoke quietly. From this day the realm bears two sigils, wolf of vigilance and lantern of accord. One watches, the other guides. Sansa smiled soft. Then let the realm breathe. Overhead, snowflakes fell slow, gentle, melting where they touched John's brow yet leaving cool kiss. A promise of winter gentled by hidden ember. He breathed, and the breath of a king came out, neither steam nor smoke, but a quiet sigh that belonged to both fire and frost, to wolf and man, to night and dawning day. And somewhere, perhaps in memory or prophecy, a child's voice called, "Long live the Wolf King!" Another answered. Soon a chorus rose across valley and river, echoed by rustling leaves of sacred trees and by quiet waves lapping shattered shores, voices that could not see the heart he carried, yet felt its pulse within their own. The wheel might never break, but it had shifted, a notch, under the guardianship of a wolf whose eyes now held all seasons, and a man who finally understood that crowns are forged not of swords alone but of sacrifice shared, forever guarded by vigilance unblinking and a lantern's gentle light. Snowmelt braided the King's Road with gleaming ribbons, twining southward like miniature rivers that whispered of hidden thaw. When Jon Snow returned from Heart Hollow, he rode at an unhurried pace, studying each creek as if its course mirrored the fresh current that now coursed behind his ribs. Ghost trotted within arm's reach, white pelt dappling with mud yet eyes shining in uncanny garnet jade. No sentry challenged them. Every holdfast they passed swung its gates wide at the mere sight of the wolf. Inside, small folk knelt or simply stared, and Jon answered with nods, careful not to linger lest reverence fossilize into rumor of divinity. He had bound ice to elder fire, not traded a mortal crown for sainthood. By the time the party crested the ridge above Maidenpool, dawn licked copper across the bay. Asha Greyjoy's longships sat at anchor, masts swaying like leafless trees. Shorefolk already bustled, hauling cod, patching nets, but a hush rippled the dock when Ghost padded down the gangplank ahead of Jon. Children abandoned crab traps to circle the direwolf at a respectful distance. An old woman touched the iron seven-pointed star at her neck, then her forehead, lips, heart. Jon greeted the port reeve, heard of taxes paid in full, of pirate raids newly ended, of the butcher's son healed when a maester's poultice failed but a kiss to the direwolf's paw apparently succeeded. Jon smiled thinly. "Medicines mend wounds," he answered, "and stout walls deter raiders." He commissioned extra watchtowers rather than blessings. They pushed on, skirting burned wheat fields where spring shoots bristled through blackened soil. Knights of House Mutun rode beside them partway, recounting how river silt, mixed with powdered dragonglass left by Targaryen caches, had quickened growth. Jon puzzled over that, dragonglass nourishing life after fueling sorcery, but stored it among new truths. At the inn near Duskendale, Davos slid steaming stew across the table. "3 birds from the capital," he said, "Tyrion's hand seal on each." Jon read between spoonfuls. The first letter detailed repairs to the Guildhall of Chandlers, wildfire vaults relocated outside the city walls as decreed. The second chronicled debates in the court of the Master of Whisperers, where red priests petitioned to build a temple to the balanced flame, praising Jon's deeds at Heart Hollow. The third, shorter, bore news of the impending wedding between Gendry Baratheon and Maya Stone. The ceremony, Tyrion wrote, would unfold on the Dragon Pit floor in 6 weeks' time. Banners of the wolf, stag, and falcon would hang together for the first time since Robert's rebellion. Davos tapped parchment. "If we ride hard, we reach the city for the vows. Else the realm may gossip the king spurns union of his bannermen." Jon looked toward Ghost gnawing a mutton bone near the hearth. "We will ride," he said, but his mind drifted further south, to Dragonstone's black cliffs. Something in the ember he carried pulsed whenever he thought of those smoking vents. Dragon glass veins threaded through basalt like frozen lightning. He wondered whether the heart he steadied might one day seek that fiery cradle, and whether his duty would bend again toward perilous marriage of forces. They camped that night beneath an orchard where blossoms drifted like snow, fragrant and ghost-pale in moonlight. Arya sparred with 2 river knights until sweat steamed off her shoulders. Sandor Clegane leaned against a pear tree, tossing scabbed fruit to Ghost. Jon tried to sleep, but dreams came. Visions of a spectral direwolf racing ahead while behind it marched figures half-wrought of ice, half-wrought of green flame. The figures bore torches shaped like beating hearts, and each time one heart dimmed, the wolf slowed, looking back in sorrow. Jon woke with dawn and frost beating his lashes. At King's Landing, the rebuilt gates shone freshly oiled. Ramparts flew new banners. A direwolf rampant, gleaming crimson eyes sharp against moon-white field. Beneath it fluttered smaller flags, grain sheaves for Reach, leaping trout for Riverrun, the sea-wolf of Pike surmounted by a gull to mark Asha's fealty. Throngs crowded the streets, cramming the Blackwater Rush's bridges. Jon dismounted before the Red Keep steps. Small folk pressed close yet silent, hope and awe colliding in their faces. Tyrion met him in the outer yard, ink staining his cuffs. "Your Grace," he greeted with flourish. "The city stands for now. Though the cobblers demand lower leather tariffs and the faith militant prefer you keep wolves outside sept walls." He offered a wineskin. "A swallow for nerves?" "Nerves?" Jon asked. "Royal weddings require more stamina than wars." Tyrion's grin tilted. "And we, meaning you, have 3 this month. After the stag unions, there's word of a match between Lady Talatarli and a Farwind Reaver turned merchant prince. Apparently sea-wolves fancy hunting boars in the Rainwood." Jon drank a mouthful, the sharp Dornish vintage warming tongue and chest. Davos reminded Garld. "Better a cup than a barrel." Jon handed it back, gaze lifted to ramparts where Ghost had already mounted steps unchallenged. Soldiers gave wide berth. Inside the council chamber, Tyrion unfurled fresh maps. "Bravos accepted our Sisterton trade bargain. I knew the Iron Bank values interest more than pride." Lys protested but eventually agreed to new terms when reminded their slave markets no longer find buyers in Westeros. Only Volantis remains thorny, preaching their slave religion. They send envoys next moon. He tapped a black ink sailing route. "I've scheduled them to arrive the day after the tournament, so their pomp won't clutter festivities." Jon sighed. "We will hear them, though, W. Esteros stands slaves no longer." Brienne entered, armor fully refurbished. "The Crownland's levies drilled twice daily," she reported. "Archers now practice shooting flaming arrows into wet sand, per your wildfire protocols. And your blacksmiths finished forging those dragonglass studs for the City Watch spear points." She produced a pouch. "We tested. They shatter undead ice like pottery, yet do little against living flesh. Let's pray we need them never again," Jon said. Sansa arrived with Ryan's young steward in tow, having come by royal barge from White Harbor. Her cheeks bore sun flush. She smiled openly until doors closed. "Jon, your river tolls anger Lord Harroway's inheritors. They claim the crown profits unfairly." Jon rubbed his brow. "Harroway's town shackled our supply lines before harvest. We reopened roads. Tolls repay the masons." His voice softened. "Still, we'll review rates after first surplus." Sansa nodded. "I will placate them at the feast." Her blue eyes flicked to Ghost through doorway. "He is changed. He feels heavier and light," Jon admitted. "Much like you," she answered, then squeezed his gauntlet hand. "Rest, brother. Tomorrow the world drinks to a bastard-made lord and a stone-made bride. Let them see a king unwearied." Night warmed the keep with lantern light and laughter drifting from kitchens where cooks seasoned venison with dried lemon and cloves. Jon, however, stole alone to the rookery. He found Maester Samwell working late, sorting raven feathers. At Jon's entrance, Sam toppled a jar of ink. "7 save me, Jon. You snuck like a cat." "Old habit," Jon said. He glanced at scrolls. "Any new tidings from the north?"
Some wiped ink.
Ghost Hill in Dorne sent seed samples. They claim sand freed of salt by volcanic ash yields double barley, and from Skagos, emissaries of House Crowell deliver a carved horn, saying it was found in a grotto newly thawed. They wonder if the king desires it. John eyed the horn, blackened bone whorled with silver veins. Something inside him, inside the ember, hummed, "Send thanks. Have maesters test the artifact for sorcery." Sam nodded, then hesitated. "John, there is talk among acolytes. They wish to dissect an ice dragon corpse. The one you silenced turned brittle, collapsed. But shards remain. Archmaester Valor wants samples." John considered. If it teaches how to thwart the next beast, grant them. Yet ensure respectful handling. Magic defies but demands courtesy.
Sam smiled.
Ever the diplomat of wild mysteries. Then his grin widened. "Did you hear about Gilly? She's to oversee Queen Sansa's new orphan hospice at Winterfell. She asked I escort her north after the wedding." "That is good." John clasped Sam's shoulder, remembering dark nights at Castle Black where friendship outshone terror. He departed, leaving Sam humming a lullaby to ravens. On the morrow, trumpets blared golden across the rebuilt dragon pit. Petals rained from hanging baskets. Blue rose petals harvested under glass north of the Trident, a silent tribute from Lyanna's resting place. The crowd of thousands hushed as Gendry strode forth in black plate hammered with swirling antlers. Beside him walked Maya Stone, hair bound with sky-blue ribbons. Her smile flashed bold as her father's before Robert's wars aged him. High Septon all eras intoned blessings. Ghost lay at John's feet, tail flicking like metronome. When the Septon bade the couple pledge, a swirl of wind dusted petals into whirling crown above them. Some gasped, whispering sign from gods. John silently thanked the ember to stay dormant. Gendry kissed his bride. The pit erupted in cheers. Feasting spilled into twilight. Bakers unveiled a great wheel-shaped pie dyed half snowy white, half dark stag brown. Inside hid candied nuts that rained onto trencher boards when Arya drove her dagger to cut the first slice. Laughter pealed. A bard composed couplets praising wolf, stag, and falcon, rhyming ghost with host in questionable meter. Later, in the Red Keeps Godswood, John found Tyrion atop a bench, legs swinging. Moonlight gilded his curls silver. "There you are, dire one," Tyrion greeted, raising a cup. "I escaped before more lords petitioned you to bless their sheep with ghost hair." John chuckled, leaning against a weirwood trunk. "I'd rather bless a sheep than hear of tariffs again." Tyrion's gaze sharpened. "News reached me an hour ago. The Volantene envoys sail with Valyrian galleys bristling sun spears. They intend to parley under threat. Our fleet is half repaired." John exhaled. "Always storms." He looked toward Ghost sniffing the heart tree roots. "We meet them at sea, not harbor. I'll sail on Seafong. A king who hides invites blood." Tyrion's brow furrowed. "You tempt fate. Yet perhaps fate listens to wolves these days." John straightened. "If fate listens, it hears conviction, not caution." That night he dreamt again. A courtroom where lords argued under a roof of green flame. Ghost sat judge's chair. John stood chains in hand. One chain ended at a child, a girl with silver gold hair and violet eyes, who stepped forward pleading, "Free me, uncle." John woke before answer. 3 days later sails dotted the horizon. Crimson and gold of Volantis, sleek hulls slicing like knives. John boarded Seafong, greeted by Asha's smirk. "Ready to bite oranges off Associ's pride?" she quipped. Davos helmed Storm's valor behind. Brienne commanded a galley christened Oathkeeper. At John's belt hung Longclaw. Beneath doublet the ember pulsed. Mid-channel the fleets faced. On Volantene flagship, a tall man in robes of black silk embroidered with a burning chain raised lantern. His herald hailed, "I am Triarch Valko Raki. You claim Huthfire tamed and freed? We claim rights to wield Elder Flame by blood of old Volantis." John answered via horn. "Westeros broke chains of slaves and kings alike. Elder Flame belongs to none. It warms or burns as we choose together." Valko laughed. "We choose conquest." He tipped lantern. A gout of emerald flame sprayed onto deck yet did not burn wood. It congealed, crept like serpent toward prow. Volantine sailors chanted in high Valyrian. The flame grew, forming shapes of serpents with wings. Asha cursed. Archers notched fire arrows. Davos barked orders. Jon closed eyes, listening to embers echo. He stepped to Seafong's bow where Ghost paced. He drew dragonglass dagger, slashed palm lightly. Blood beaded. He flicked droplets into wind. With silent prayer he pictured glacier calm, wolf eyes, balanced heart. The ember leapt, coursing up his arm. Green light sparked from wound, then shifted to pale blue, then pure white like starlight. He thrust hand outward. The serpent flames faltered, colors draining. Wind spun them into mist, extinguished. Volantine deckhands screamed. Lanterns cracked. Green spilled into sea, hissing harmless steam. Silence fell between ships save boom of sails. Valko backed away, eyes wide. Jon's voice carried, "Fire obeys will, but justice masters will." He lifted blood-streaked hand. "Release slaves, burn no more cities, and trade shall prosper. Defy, and your own flame devours you." The Triarch swallowed, stepped forward again but bowed low. "Volantis will parley." By nightfall, treaties inked on sailcloth bound Volantis to abolish chattel trade within a year, cede 3 ships to Crown, and open ports to grain. Jon returned to Red Keep as quiet hero, though singers soon embroidered tale into epic. Wolf King who bled stars to quench serpent fire. In council Tyrion toasted, "I thought you'd roast Associ arrogance with words, not literal starlight." Jon grimaced, flexing bandaged hand. Barely controlled.
Ember grows restless.
Sam entered bearing horn from Skagos again. "Tests show it resonates with your blood, Jon. When near, the shard in your chest quickens." Jon stared at spiky relic. "Perhaps it is counterpart. Keep guarded." Summer inched forward. Markets overflowed with reach melons, Dorn figs. Lines at bakeries shortened. Yet Jon sensed undercurrents. Nobles whose coffers shrank blamed new tariffs. Faith militant whispered that Wolf King consorted with foreign fire. Red priests preached balanced flame as if a doctrine, splintering zealots. During one such sermon outside the ruined Great September, a stone flew, intended for priest but struck a cobbler's child instead. The mob turned violent. Gold cloaks waded in, dragonglass studs sheathing spears, but fear outpaced order. Jon arrived astride Black Stallion, Ghost ahead. He dismounted, lifted injured child, cloth darkening with blood. He met the mob's fury with quiet. Flames inside him hummed, but he refused display. Instead he laid boy in priest's arms and knelt, pressing forehead to cobblestones. The mob stilled. Silence rippled outward like shockwave. "Rise, your grace," the high septon begged, embarrassed. Jon remained kneeling. "Today a child bleeds because we wield words like arrows," he said. "My knees remind us all to bend, to mercy, to patience, to truth." He stood only after tearful priests removed the boy to healer's care. That image, Wolf King on knees, spread faster than any sermon. Riots ceased. Yet, in quieter corners, conspirators brewed. Lady Maylara SWFT hosted masked suppers where lords lamented winter taxes. A Sellsword guild reopened Blackwater pits for illegal duels, luring orphans with coin, and whispers resurfaced of a once-dead dragon queen still alive across the sea, gathering unsullied remnants. One dusk, as Jon paced ramparts, a shadow detached from Merlin. "Arya, silver-haired girl spotted in Tyrosh," she said. "Sellsword's claim she rides a great black mare, breathes smoke like dragon." Jon gazed at sinking sun. "If Daenerys lives, she deserves peace. Yet realm will panic." Arya shrugged. "Could be rumor to inflate wine prices." She studied him. "You love her still?" He winced. "Love tangled in ash." "Untangle," Arya advised, vanishing into halls. That night ghosts of Ygritte, of Daenerys, of even Aegon the Conqueror perhaps, wandered Jon's dreams, each asking what price he'd pay for lasting peace. He answered none. Autumn's edge brought crisp winds. John decreed the festival of first snow, 7 days of trade fairs, song contests, archery, and free bread dispensaries. Tyrion oversaw budgets, complaining but hiding pleasure. Sansa planned pageants dramatizing pact of ice and fire, with children wearing fur and lantern masks. On opening day, after ribbon cutting by Brienne's sapphire sword, Jon watched jugglers throw orbs painted half red, half white-blue, symbolizing balanced flame. Crowds gasped when one juggler slipped. An orb smashed, releasing harmless colored smoke. Laughter replaced fear. Jon felt embers subside, content. But later, as fireworks crackled overhead, a scream cut through revelry. In alley near Street of Sisters, guards found the body of a red priest pinned against wall by ice shards fused with green wax. Above corpse scrawled blood words, "False balance." Tyrion handed note to Jon. Extremists on either side. Jon's jaw set. Ghost will hunt. He led night patrols, ghost-scenting alleyways. For 3 evenings, they found nothing but cold cinders. On 4th, they cornered cloaked figures in cellars beneath the old dragon skull vaults. Fight erupted, dragonglass axes against assassins' obsidian green blades. Ghost hamstrung one. Arya slit another's throat. Before last attacker died, he hissed, "The broken will turns when balance is slain." Interrogation revealed cult calling themselves Frostborn Flame, seeking to shatter pact and return world to primal war of elements. Their leader, rumored to be a faceless mage wearing Rhaenys Targaryen's likeness. Jon tightened city watch. Tyrion authorized bounty. Sansa ordered spies abroad. Yet threat lingered intangible. During final festival night, children released paper lanterns along Blackwater. Jon stood pier with Davos. Thousands of lights drifted, mirrored in dark river like stars fallen to earth. A hush held the crowd. In that hush, the ember within Jon thrummed soft as heart of sleeping dragon, matching pulse of lanterns. Ghost sat beside, muzzle low, eyes reflecting every flicker. Davos murmured, "Beauty buys time." Jon nodded. Time to earn peace. He thought of Horn from Skagos, of rumor of Dragon Queen, of cult's warning. Work remained endless. Yet tonight, lanterns floated unmolested. He spoke under breath, "Watch, Ghost." The direwolf's ears twitched. Across river, lanterns met tide and turned seaward, bearing prayers for seasons yet to come. Above, Ghost's lantern star glowed steady, flanked now by faint twin sparks, perhaps shards of comet dimming, perhaps new sign. Either way, the sky seemed to whisper that balance, once impossible dream, could hold so long as wolves kept vigil and kings knelt when children bled. Jon drew cloak tighter. Wind smelled not of ash nor dread, but of cold sea salt mingled with roasted chestnuts from distant stalls, scent of a capital mending. He turned toward Red Keep lights. Behind him Ghost trotted, quiet guardian of a realm still learning to live between fire and ice. And in halls ahead, scrolls awaited, horns pulsed faint, wheels creaked, but lanterns floated on. Blackwater Bay simmered beneath a veil of autumn haze, the water's black-green sheen reflecting the faint flicker of dawn torches that pepper-clung to piers and breakwaters. Tall masts rocked in sleepy cadence. Gulls wheeled overhead in ragged verses, their keening swallowed by the rumble of surf on Ragstone Keys. From the seaward battlements, Jon Snow surveyed the city glimmering into waking life. The fat domes of the September that was now roofed in humble slate, granaries stacked like giant beehives behind the Lion Gate, and the marble ribs of the barely begun College of Healers thrusting skyward on Visigna's Hill. All living, all growing, all fragile. Ghost pressed flank to Jon's knee. In the wolf's mismatched red jade gaze, a newcomer might glimpse a spark of unnatural intellect, but Jon saw only loyal inquiry. What next? He exhaled a plume of silvery breath. What next, indeed? Below on the king's dock, a single Drummond heaved at her lines like a horse eager to bolt. Pine-tarred hull, new-fashioned swivel weapons fixed to stern, sails rolled and trussed. The Star of Winter. She was Davos Seaworth's design, narrower beam, shallow draft for river runs, but strong enough to cross open seas. Her maiden voyage would carry ambassadors to Volantis with the first load of dragonglass tiles, proof the crown kept treaty terms. Jon intended to go himself until fresh warnings surfaced in silent corners of the keep. Coded scrolls, scattered after midnight, each inked with the same primal sigil. A dire wolf clawed through by a serpent of twin hues, half ice, half flame. Beneath the image sprawled 3 words: "Still we coil." Tyrion insisted the vandalism was the work of disgruntled acolytes, perhaps young nobles who fancied themselves poets. Yet Meesters found charred fragments of skin on the parchment edges, tattooed flesh of someone flayed in ritual. Not mischief then, a message from the Frostborn flame or from some new splinter more unhinged than the last. Jon's jaw tightened as cold wind licked his collar. Dawn bells began tolling, clear, steady, 7 times. The festival of first snow might be past, but tradition lingered. Each morning after, bells rang once for each kingdom and once again for the realm entire. Jon listened, letting sound ground him. Duty first, fear later. Soft bootfalls scuffed behind. Sansa's furs swept the stone, dyed deep plum, her copper hair bound in intricate Northron braids silvered by frost. "You left before the kitchens served walnut bread," she chided, voice low. "I needed air," Jon answered. "And quiet. Quiet is rare here." She touched Ghost's ear and the dire wolf accepted the caress, rumbling. The city's tongues buzz about a wolf who quells wildfire with starlight. Even the sparrows speak it now. "Some call you Jon the Luminant." He grimaced. "Titles breed expectation. Expectations breed failures." "Perhaps," she allowed. "But hope breeds courage, and courage costs coin we do not mint from taxes." Her blue eyes fixed his. "The people love you, Jon. They fear you a little, too. That is not always bad. Yet you cannot be everywhere at once. Consider giving them symbols they can hold." Jon frowned. "We have Ghost's lantern in the sky. A star is distant. I speak of tangible things." Sansa produced a small bundle from beneath cloak. She unwrapped lambswool to reveal a medallion. Silver direwolf threaded through with a narrow band of pale green jade. "Minted at White Harbor," she said. "Stainless steel core so it won't tarnish in sweat. The jade chipped from frost dragon shards you gave the maesters. Limit 5,000 for now, enough for veterans and orphan wards. Wearers will help keep order. Show pride." Jon weighed the badge. It was simple, elegant, no larger than a thumbprint. In its glimmer he saw soldiers forming shield walls, bakers kneading dough, children sprinting under banners, all with a talisman to remind them who they were. He clasped Sansa's wrist. "Good. Have Davos and Brienne distribute at the next levy muster." Footsteps echoed. A messenger boy, cheeks pink, offered parchments. Sansa excused herself to counsel. Jon unrolled the first. A raven report from Lady Allery in Old Town. Mysterious seaquakes along the Whispering Sound, bright glowing fissures on seabed. The second, from Maester Sam in Winterfell, spoke of more auroras dancing above the shivering sea, shapes like wolves and serpents entwined. The final scroll bore a seal of 3 interlocked talons. It read, "To the King of Wolves and Cauterized Hearts, the blood of the dragon still sings. She sails westward in shadow, seeking what was once lost in the dark. Shade or solace, choose your harbor. A friend, passing strange." Jon's pulse kicked. Daenerys again? Or some imposter using rumors? He pocketed the scroll. Ghost huffed, wise enough to sense his master's unrest. Mid-morning found the small council clustered about a marble slab charted with ink. Grain caravans, levy rosters, shipping lanes. Brienne presided while Tyrion scribbled quicksilver notes. Gendry sat in presence for first time since marriage, hands calloused but nails clean for once. Sam via Raven Cage had corresponded earlier. His seat remained empty. Conversation coiled around repairs to the fallen September district. Foundation stones sinking into catacombs full of dragon bone dust. Mason masters argued for wooden piles, carpenters for iron screws. Jon let them debate until Tyrion sighed theatrically. Wood rots, iron rusts. Use granite buttresses keyed to salvage bedrock. Riverrun quarries owe stone for remission of river tolls. They'll supply. John nodded, stamped wax. Yet his thoughts churned. Daenerys, dragon blood, sailing in shadow. He addressed council. New threat festers. The Frostflame cult circulates sigils torn from corpses. We suspect infiltration. Alchemists' guild lists vials missing again. I would send Arya and Sandor quietly among dock gangs. Find ringleader. Gendry frowned. My Smith's Sea shaved iron filings vanish nightly. Could be them. Brienne offered. Gold cloaks will step up patrols around warehouses. Tyrion tapped Quill. I propose we lure the conspirators. Announce a ceremony of devotion on Dragon Pit Hill, where I will publicly donate the Ice Dragon shards to the Citadel. Cultists may strike. Brienne scowled. And if they do, innocents die. We prepare unseen nets, Tyrion countered. Circle them with plainclothes guards. He smirked. Nothing draws zealots like relics denied. Jon weighed risk. If done, the ceremony Pens under dawn light, not evening. No torches, no chance for fire illusions. Brienne bowed assent. Gendry cracked knuckles. And if they come with steel? Steel we answer, Jon said simply. Dawn of the ceremony blistered white. Sunlift gilded the half-ruined dragon pit vaults, scaffolds casting long ribs across flagstones. A moderate crowd gathered, mostly tradesmen, a handful of high-tower envoys, a clutch of red-robed priests fanning censers that dripped pine resin. Tyrion donned opulent crimson doublet, snared from wardrobe of a long-dead lord. He joked, and carried a wooden casket bound by 3 locks identical to those guarding the royal mint. Jon wore simple black leather trimmed with gray silk. His only adornment was Sansa's medallion pinned just below throat. Brienne led a line of Hawkwatch, elite Crownsguard archers cloaked in dull green, hidden among scaffolding. Arya mixed with small folk disguised in baker's smock. Sandor lurked near shattered gargoyles overhead, eyeing every hooded figure. Davos stood by stairway to amphitheater, command of reserve troops disguised as carpenters. Tyrion mounted a modest dais. Good people, he began, voice amplified by chalk funnel. We gather to consign relics of terror to the keepers of knowledge. May wisdom temper power. He lifted the casket. Keys clicked, lid creaked. Inside, translucent fragments shimmered, shards of the ice dragon's heart. Gasps rose. A faint chill brushed the crowd. From rear ranks, a woman's laugh rang, shrill, unnatural. Heads turned, hoods dropped, revealing 6 figures in robes sewn half-white fur, half-emerald scale. They advanced, palms outstretched. Between them scuttled a contraption. Iron braziers bound by chains, each emitting hissing vapor tinted turquoise. Jon strode forward. Halt, he commanded, Longclaw sheathed but his voice a blade. This ceremony honors peace. A robed man hissed. Peace is lie, balance is cage. Break the wheel anew. They yanked cords. Braziers toppled, spewing cloud. The mist rolled low, creeping across flagstones. Where it touched, frost flowers blossomed amid whirls of green flame. People shrieked. Archers loosed. Arrows thudded into 3 cultists, yet green wildfire burst from their wounds, mingling with hoarfrost particles to birth eerie phosphorescence. Jon felt ember surge, a dragon heart stirring within. He clenched fist to contain flare. Ghost bounded down steps, teeth flashing. He lunged at lead cultist, woman with shaved skull tattooed serpents, knocked her flat. Her brazier cracked. Green cold fluid drenched her. She laughed even as skin blackened with frostburn. Seed sown, she croaked, collapsing. Arya flickered among smoke. Her blade punctured a second zealot's throat. Sandor's great sword severed third staff. Davos's troops wrestled another to ground. 2 managed to flee toward pit's far arch. Brienne signaled. Nets dropped from scaffolding, ensnaring them. Within heartbeats it ended. Survivors lay hogtied. Mist dissipated under brisk wind. No bystander dead, though 2 seasoned archers convulsed from frostburns on shins. Tyrion dusted himself, retrieved casket unharmed. John surveyed casualties, jaw taut. One cultist laughed in net. "Shatter the star," he rasped before biting tongue, choking on blood. Later, interrogations revealed little. Zealots bore no names, tongues branded before meeting. One whispered of the horn from Skagos. "It calls fire down." Maesters deciphered tattoos. Twisting glyph reading eclipsed the lantern. That night, John convened Privy Council in dim solar. Candle shadows trembled. Sam's raven perched half asleep on back of chair, couriered from Winterfell earlier but kept for reply. John rolled the Skagos horn between palms. Whatever power this relic holds, cult sees it weapon. He looked to Sam's letter recounting resonance tests. Blasts of harmonic tones melted ice 6 feet thick. "We guard it in vault below Dragonstone, guarded by both Citadel scholars and Red Keep wardens." Tyrion arched brow. "You trust alchemists near so volatile?" "Dragonstone's stone glass muffles magic," John said, "and its old wards still cling." Davos crossed arms. "We cannot watch all shores. If the so-called Dragon Queen sails, she'll smell Horn's lure. Then we take Horn away," Sansa offered. "Across narrow sea, entomb it in Valyrian ruins where no ship may anchor." But John shook head. "Hiding increases myth. Better to study, learn counter." No consensus, yet plan minted. The Horn would sail under seal, with Sam, Archmaester Valar, and contingent of unsullied freedmen now sworn to Wolf King. Ghost accompanied John instead. Wolf refused Krait's aura, hackles rising when Horns neared. Preparations enveloped weeks. Meanwhile, reports of seaquakes multiplied. Islands off Arbor's south cracked, exhaling sparks at night. Fisherfolk hauled fish with scales scintillating alternately white and green. Maesters theorized chemical change, priests called omen, merchants bottled and sold luminous scales as charms. Daenerys rumors thickened. Sightings from Tyrosh evolved. A pale mare tracked by 3 unsullied captains. A blackhead Parthian hawk carried on wrist. A girl with dragon ear fin tattoos. But spies returned empty-handed. John found sleep scarce. Ember flared each dusk, died at dawn. He walked ramparts with Ghost observing city shift from amber glow to charcoal hush. On one such round, he encountered Queen Asha returning from river patrol. She shared flask of seaweed gin. "Cultists use catacombs keyed to old Valyrian sewer lines," she reported. "We sealed grates with lead, but rats still scuttle. Smell of necromancy down there." He half smiled at her bluntness. "Rats feed on any cause." "True, but bigger beasts swim upriver." She eyed horns slung at his hip. "Careful, Wolf King. You keep playing tune others dance to." John considered. "Perhaps time I write melody myself." By first frost, the expedition embarked. 3 cogs, Grey Raven, Maiden of Merman's Beacon, and Scholar's Luck. Storm's valor escorted halfway, but waters calm, so parted. Sam waved from deck, face anxious yet determined. John watched until masts shrank to splinters on horizon, a heaviness settling though he knew mission vital. That night, he dreamed not of serpents but of calm sea under Ghost Lantern star. A ship drifted, a silhouette of burned hull yet sails white as snow. On deck, a woman stood. Silver gold hair brushed shoulders. Violet eyes caught starlight. She raised palm in greeting. Ember pulsed, not burning, but warming. John woke before she spoke. Morning ravens bore grim tidings. Sam's fleet met sudden squall, unheard of in mild channel. Scholar's Luck lost with Horn. Debris washed ashore near Stone Dance already. No survivors found. Sam safe on Grey Raven, but scroll ended abrupt. We saw brilliance under waves, jade and azure together, like a mouth opening. John's heart hammered. If Horn drowned, did its power free? Or was theft disguised as storm? He dispatched swift galleys, but wreckage minimal, survivors missing. That eve, Ghost howled at sky. Northern lights rippled though they stood far south. Ribbons of mint and frost blue coalesced into symbol of broken wheel, then collapsed inward toward horizon. Within days, unnatural disasters erupted. Frost rime coated Dornish vineyards overnight. Desert winds whipped emerald dust. In the vale, sheep birthed lambs with translucent hooves. In Rook's Rest, well water glowed faint. Panic whispered. Tyrion pressed quill to parchment into deep night, scribbling edicts. Price freezes on salt. Restrictions on pseudo-holy relic trade. Sansa busied with relief caravans, instructing Sisters of Mother's Mercy to burn tainted hay, to hush rumors. Jon summoned Bran by Raven, begging seeing sight. Reply returned cryptic. When lantern dims, follow the tide. He convened war council. Balance tilts, he said. Horn lost or stolen, but effect ripples. We must recover. Davos proposed scouring stone dance ruins. Asha volunteered ironborn divers. Gendry offered to forge diving bells of hammered bronze. Brienne marshaled knights to guard coasts. Arya slipped shadow to mirror under false papers. Sandor joined smugglers to trace contraband with horn shape. Each step scanned horizon. While Realm mobilized, Jon visited Flea Bottom Orphanage one crisp dawn. Children skittered around his boots. He knelt, telling them tales of direwolf pups chasing aurora rabbits in northern snows. Their laughter steadied him. Seeing medallions glint on thin necks, he felt hope pulse again. As he left, streets quieted. A procession approached, 20 figures in robes of deepest blue, each bearing staff tipped with carved dragon claws. At head walked a woman, hair short, raven black, yet eyes blazing amethyst. She wore no crown, but aura of command rode her shoulders. Ghost bristled, yet whined low, uncertain. Jon barred path. Name yourself. She bowed slightly. I am Barya of the Last Light, envoy to Daenerys Stormborn, mother of dragons reborn beneath broken stars. Murmurs flared among bystanders. Jon's throat constricted. Daenerys perished. Who plays at ghosts? Barya's smile carried sorrow. Our queen burned, yet fire births fire. She woke in shadow of Ass High, mind shattered but heart alight. She remembers you, Jon of ice and wardened flame. Barya extended parchment sealed with crimson wax shaped like three-headed dragon cradling lantern. Jon slid dagger to break seal. Jon, if balance you forged trembles, no, I do not come as conqueror. I come seeking the wolf who taught mercy to fire. Meet me at Broken Spear Isle before the lantern gutters. D. Handwriting strikingly shaky yet reminiscent of letters Daenerys penned in Meereen. Jon's heart pounded. He folded letter, eyes on Barya. Broken Spear Isle? Rocky outcrop north of Stepstones. Davos murmured from behind, having just arrived. Uninhabited but for smugglers. Barya raised staff. Come alone or with your wolf. Bring no blades forged in fire or frost. The queen waits 3 nights hence, then sails west forever.
Jon met Ghost Case.
Direwolf's eyes gleamed steady. Red rim of loyalty, jade spark of burden. Decision blossomed, heavy yet inevitable. He turned to counsel. I will go. Outcry rose, Tyrion protesting trap, Brienne vowing escort. Jon raised hand. Every guard spooks those who follow dragons. He looked to Ghost. Steel alone served once. Now heart must speak. Sansa stepped forward. If you leave, I rule in your stead. But come back, Jon. Do not fade into myth like others. He clasped her fingers. Myth won't feed orphans. I return. That night he prepared quietly. Leather jerkin, weather cloak, no insignia save medallion. Longclaw he left with Brienne. If I fall, deliver to Sam, he instructed. She hefted blade, throat tight. Davos captained small sloop quiet tide. At dawn they set sail, Jon, Ghost, Barya, and 2 of her acolytes who rode silent. Sea rolled calm, but horizon glimmered weird hues. Sunrise filtered through stray auroras that did not belong at such latitude. On second evening stepstones appeared jagged silhouettes. Quiet tide slipped into cove of broken spear, cliffs daggered overhead. On beach stood a single figure cloaked in midnight. She faced sea, wind whipping pale tendrils of hair freed from hood. Jon disembarked, heart thundering. Ghost at heel, ears back. Figure turned. Daenerys, not queen of conquest, but gaunt. eyes large within hollows, hair shorn uneven, silver-streaked with ash gray, yet pupils still lilac, still fierce. She regarded John with wonder, fear, longing. He stepped closer. Silence swallowed surf until only crackle of distant gull cry remained. "I dreamt you froze my fire," she whispered, voice grainy yet melodic. "Then dreamt I warmed your snow. Waking hurts less." John's chest ached. "I dreamt you forgave me." She smiled faint. "Have you forgiven yourself?" He shook head, words lost. Ghost whined softly, sniffed Daenerys's hand. She touched soft white fur, tears pricking. "I sought dragons," she said, "found only echoes, until comet fire bled into sea. It guided me." She lifted small satchel. Inside, jagged horn tip wrapped in silk. "This fragment called. It sings of you." John realized. Portion of horn lost in storm had floated to her path. Fate's circle tightened. Daenerys's hand trembled. "Will you take it?" He cradled Shard. Ember within him pulsed, matched by faint glow from her eyes. A warmth not violent but yearning. Ghost's lantern star overhead intensified. Words spilled. John told story of balance. Ice, elder fire, direwolf pledge. She listened, tears silent. When he finished, she closed eyes. "My dragons taught me power. My ashes taught me cost. Help me be more than ruin." John touched her cheek. "We stand between forces. Together we might hold them." Waves crashed. Behind, Barya raised torch, illumination haloing pear-like stage. Suddenly water before them churned. Foamy spiral birthed a shape. Stone gray hide, serpentine, eyes blue-green. A leviathan sea drake reared, maw yawning. It carried wreckage scrap, figurehead of scholar's luck, the rest of horn pinned in its jaw like trophy. Daenerys gasped. "They hunt for this power." John placed fragment into pouch, slung across chest. He stepped forward, kneeling. Ember surged along blood to palm. Ghost howled. Offshore, Drake hissed, but paused, eyes locking with John's. He projected calm, memory of glacier heart stilled. The ember answered with pale glow from his skin. Daenerys laid palm atop his, warmth merged with cool. Twin lights blossomed, white and gold braided, spilling across shoreline. The drake's aggressive posture slackened. Beast dipped head, releasing horn into surf. It slid to sand. Creature turned, sinking beneath waves. Gone. Barya's torch sputtered. Acolytes muttered prayers. John rose, retrieving horn segment. Two halves reunited. Daenerys exhaled. "Now what?" "We mend," John said. "We learn to guard not just realm but world's heart." They boarded quiet tide. Daenerys stroked Ghost's ruff. Wolf aloud. John watched horizon burn magenta. Third dawn since letter rose. He kept promise. Back at King's Landing tales would swirl. Wolf King returned with Fire Queen reborn, or Ghost of Queen, or Chosen of Star. But politics could wait. As sloops sailed under Ghost Lantern Star, John felt will shift again. Not shatter, but align a new spoke. Balance remained delicate, yet a dragon's warmth might now join Direwolf's vigilance to hold it true. In Hold Below, horn fragments sang soft counterpoint to wind. Faint duet, half mournful, half hopeful, promising dawns yet uncharted, wars yet unneeded, if hearts bound themselves as fiercely as wolf and ghostly lantern in the sky. And on deck, two figures stood shoulder to shoulder. King of winter fire, queen of tempered flame. Watching waves glitter emerald and silver, guardians of a fragile peace destined to endure as long as they dared shoulder it together, as long as lanterns floated, as long as wolves kept watch over children's sleep.